I'll call this Bang Bang.
Seriously?
I will fuck you up. I will beat your ass. I will fuck you up. Pull up, bitch. I will fuck you up. I will beat your ass. I will fuck you up.
Objection. Objection.
I will fuck you up. KO. Bang bang. I will fuck you up. You're a bitch, bro. I will fuck you up. I will beat your ass. I will fuck you up. Right?
Yeah.
The bang bang, the bang bang, pull up. The bang bang, the bang bang, pull up. Right?
Yeah.
The bang bang, the bang bang, pull up. The bang bang, the bang bang.
Mr. Lally, your next witness, please.
Yes, Your Honor, the Commonwealth calls Trooper Michael Proctor to the stand. State your name and spell your last name for the jury.
Michael Proctor, Proctor.
You're a bitch, bro. I will fuck you up. I will beat your ass. I will fuck you up.
I'm going to allow it.
I will fuck you up. I will beat your ass. I will fuck you up.
I'm going to allow it.
My name is Aidan Kearney, also known as Turtle Boy.
He is a senior editor for Turtle Boy Daily News.
I'm a big fan.
We've broken hundreds of stories that the mainstream media won't touch.
Some blogger in Massachusetts who's getting to the bottom of this better than anybody.
Why is it Turtle Boy that is covering such important issues? Where is the rest of the media?
You did not say that you were going to take my baby out of revenge and make him a transgender baby.
Stop it.
Don't you want to ask some questions? I know you do.
I do. I know
you do. People don't like the things that I say and want me to stop saying them, but I won't. I'm never going to stop. These are the kind of stories that must be told.
And I will not be intimidated. I will not be silenced. And we will continue on our journey for justice for John O'Keefe and for Karen Reed.
Tick, tick, boom. Boys, go baby, we bringing our toys. Boys, chopper be singing, should be on the voice. Bang, bang, we gon' ride out. Gang, gang, we don't die out. Want it like this, ain't no timeouts. Tell me who really gon' find out.
We be disturbing the peace, working, we serving the streets.
Karen Reed has supporters who've shown up in large numbers.
Tick, tick, boom.
Hard body, and not scaring nobody. You make me resort to wildin'. You must be blind by the diamonds. I didn't want it to be this way, but y'all won't need to try this, so it's no way around it. You the loudest one, it's going quiet. We be disturbing the peace, working, we serving the streets. About to go ahead, going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep.
This is the first time I think I've ever seen this. An outpouring of support for someone accused of murdering a Boston police officer. Unbelievable situation. Never seen anything like it.
Tick, tick, boom.
You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me?
We be disturbing the peace, working, we serving the streets. About to go ahead, going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep.
Boom. What's up, turtle people? How's everyone doing out there tonight? Get this out of the way. There we go. Put that right there. All right, cool. Sorry, guys. One of my lights broke, so there's a little glare here. We'll get over it. But how's everybody doing out there? Good, good, excellent. Welcome to the live show, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host. My name is Aidan Kearney. You can call me Clarence with Emerson. That's my Facebook account. You should follow it because I go live on it every morning. We had a big crowd there today. I'll tell you that much. And don't tell the that box wine lady. She thinks this is a scar, so we'll just go with that. Totally a scar. But yeah, man. Yeah, like you call me Clarence with Emerson. Old school turtle riders call me Uncle Turtle Boy. You know, I prefer doctor. A lot of people today address me as doctor. I do appreciate when you do that because, you know, if Joe Biden's a doctor, then I'm definitely a doctor of something. I don't know what, but I'm definitely a doctor. Some people call me daddy. I will allow it. Definitely not required, but you're free to. I won't tell you no. You definitely won't be punished for that. Or maybe you'd like it if you were. I don't know. Just be here every Tuesday and Saturday night at 9 p.m. sharp. And make sure you smash that subscribe button so you never miss. And hit the notification bell. We do some impromptu lives here and there. We did an impromptu one today. And yeah, okay. Anyway, cool. If anybody would like to have their chats read out loud, you can't do turtle chat. I mean, you can't do the super chat because we're banned from doing that. So we built our own platform called the Turtle Chat. If you click at the link at the top, you can donate whatever amount of money you want. And when you do that, you get to write a little, you know, a little message. And I will read your message out loud to the class periodically throughout the show. You can also cash at me at $ Uncle Turtle Boy and do it that way if you so desire. Okay, yes, I was at the Canton Board of Selectmen meeting tonight. I don't know if they cut it off apparently. I guess I'll start off with that. So being civically engaged, let's pull it up here. Young Jerks had it, right? Okay. Oh, Young Jerks is live tonight too? All right. So let's go to the Canton Board of Selectmen meeting. Hold on. So, you know, the townspeople got up to speak, and there was a lot of good cheer, a lot of good, you know. So Kathleen Hawley's speaking here. She's one of the people who led the audit. And then all of a sudden, I arrive, and Rita speaks, and it turns to this. So I was there because I'm protesting injustice because I'm just an out-of-towner who wanted to eat a whole meal of food in Canton, and I went there and I tried to stimulate the economy by purchasing a meal of food, 2 actually meals of food, and I come outside and there's a mob of McAlberts there who are there to like, you know, antagonize us and try to provoke us into doing something, and we don't fall for it. But, you know, they sexually harassed my girl. They, you know, they were rude. They were talking about pregnancies. I can't do any more fake pregnancies. I've had enough of those. No more fake pregnancies. Okay. And they're just being jerks. Like they're being saying degrading things to other people. It was just an awful look for your town. So I want to go there and have my feelings held. You know, I got to get the glare on. Glare, I got to send you the link, my dude. I'm having Will on tonight. I'll send it to you in a moment. Just let me get the turtle chats out of the way, and I'll have you on. So, anyway, yeah. So I go down there, and I just want to hold. You know, I guess you can't speak if you don't live in Canton, and you know that was a problem. So I get there, and I don't know if we have Mazza Media has. Does Mazza Media have? Oh, this is when the chaos started. This is when. All right. So we started a Lucky Lochran chant, I think. All right. Oh, there it is. It's just like, yes, we did a big cheer for Lucky. And I'm holding a sign that says Jill Daniels touched me because she did. So I'm there to protest Jill Daniels. I know Chris Albert doesn't like it. When I protest him,
We
he
have
calls
paid
it.
personal sacrifices, and I know
Oh, there it
Lucky
is.
has
Jim
paid
Ferriss
personal
is still
sacrifices too,
rude.
because that's what comes
You know?
with telling the truth. It
He
has
is.
cost us
Really rude.
relationships.
Yeah, like see how the whole thing was crapping out. So, you know, I tried to get my signs in there somehow. Like if he doesn't want to get the signs, what are the signs that I have?
Design.
The fee schedule.
Oh, there it is.
Proposed, more
Hold on,
accurate.
what does that one say?
Businesses were charged when
Once I realized that, they would see this view right here. Once I realized they had this view, or you could put a sign there and it would be on TV. So I'm like, okay, let me try that route. So I start doing that, and then look what they do. They show this route. Like, oh no, they show. What view did they show? So the next lady got up there and where'd it go? I tried to hold my sign so they'll see it, but what's going on here? No, I didn't get it in there. I tried getting it in. So I finally got. I was trying to get my sign in there. See my hand. Jim Ferriss is still rude because they wouldn't show it. So I'm trying to get my sign in there. What else? Jim Ferriss needs to clean his Prius. That was disgusting, Jim. Clean your car, please. And, Jill Daniels stole my phone for the nudes. I think that's what she was doing it for. I think we can all agree. So, it was peacefully protesting. It was what it was. The police chief got renewed. So Helena Rafferty was rewarded for her incompetence and her overseeing of this disaster. That's what happens in Canton. You move, if you fuck up like Michael Lank, you just move up in the ranks. And by the way, I heard that all hell broke loose at the meeting and they had to call the cop. This was like after I left. We had to get out of here. I've had a busy day. So I go down to the courthouse today, obviously. It's what I do. And biggest crowd of the year. I haven't even had time to put all the pictures and shit together. I haven't had time to do anything today. So biggest crowd of the year is down there. I would say up to 1,000, probably close to 1,000 people at peak. And dude, it was like picture city. Like I took a lot. I'll never say no to a picture. I might say like, be right back. Something like that. If it's just like a bad time or if I'm on the Howie or something like that. But I took a lot of goddamn pictures today. A lot of pictures. And I love doing it. It never gets old. But it just took a long time to get through the whole crowd. Like but it was fun. It was really fun. And then I go in my line. So we have shout out, by the way, to the line holder right now. Who's there right now? Who's our guy? We got somebody there right now. Who's there sitting on my goddamn chair? Because this is another beef that I have in the line. I think I could still use somebody. If anybody is in that area and wants to watch the show from the line, I think Canton TV could use somebody sitting in their seat because we're 1 and 2 getting in. And all these, people, these new people are here. All these people from wherever around the world. I did like the German guys I interviewed with today, Guten Tag. And, all of a sudden a line started forming and I'm like 13th or 14th in line. Like, what the hell that happened? No. And only the first 10 get in. No. And this dude there is from the AP. And he's like, kind of like, you're a blogger. You're not like, bro, where you been? Like, I would just like, let me make it clear to the media people. I'm getting in. Like all this shit you see out here, all this thing, I did that. You're here right now because of me. You never would have heard this trial without me. Like this would have just been some back burner bullshit trial that no one was paying attention to if we didn't do that. All right. So we did that. And, who are these new people here? So we set up our seats and, I make sure that it's Canton TV first, me second. And this woman from, I don't know where she's from. She's new. She's like showed up this week and she's like, so you have 2 seats? Like where did you come from? Bitch, where are you? Who are you? Where were you for the pretrial stuff? Nowhere. So this is I'm taking the second seat and you're going to sit here and eat your cheese sandwich and you're going to like it because that's just how things work around here. I own Dedham. I own Canton and I own Dedham. They're both mine. I spent enough time in Dedham. I lived there for 60 days, right? It's my town now. So anyway, so I spent the whole day there, and then I go inside. I watched we watched the opening statements that we're going to go over tonight, and then we watched, we waited for the verdict, and I did my rounds again, and that took forever. And 4:30 comes, 5 o'clock comes. I go on Howie. I got to get out of there. I got to run back. I went on News Nation. I don't know what time I'm going on News Nation, whatever Dan Abrams is on. I had if you guys could watch the News Nation clip tonight, it was a good one. It was a good one. So, so I do that and then shower because I smell like shit because I've been out there all day today. Sorry to anybody that took a lot of pictures, And then I get my car and we go to the Canton, back to Canton to peacefully protest. Stood there for an hour, came back, meeting French fries here. Probably be picking at him during the show. I've had no time to do anything. I'm trying to organize people to sit in my seat. So long story short, if you're in the Dedham area and you want to help out, please go and just check out the scene over there and see if the first and second seat, my seat and Canton TV, my seat should be covered, but I want to make sure Canton TV as well and Jessica Machado's as well. Let's get them all covered. So that's that. Okay. All right. Let me do a couple turtle chats here. Andrea T sends $25 and says, Doc, been following for years. As this is coming to an end, I just want to say you the man. You're a top-notch reporter, and I'm so happy to see this happen for you. Good for you for all you've done. These idiots showed their true colors Sunday. I know. I can't wait to hear that sweet victory. Not guilty. Free Karen Reed. Love you guys. Jackson and his team killed it. All right, let me take a little poll question. I'm going to do a poll question here. All right, and I'm going to ask you guys because I've seen some people in there. Okay, start a poll. Are you nervous? Are you nervous because the jury didn't? Because I've seen some people say they're nervous. So are you nervous because the jury didn't come back with a verdict today? That's my question for you people. And immediately it's been up for, let's see, it's been up for, we already have 700 votes. 76% say no. So that's good. 76% say no. And we'll so, but that means 24% say yes. So they are nervous. I'm seeing now we have 1,400 votes. That's a pretty good sample, 75-25. So, 25% is a good fraction. It's a minority, but it's a good. Am I nervous, Joanne? No. I would have definitely preferred if they came back with not guilty, but I am not nervous. I think the Free Karen Reed Twitter account, who I've met, I'd said, "Oh, you're Free Karen Reed," the Twitter account. I don't even know her name. I just call it Free Karen Reed Twitter account. I think she had a good tweet today about it, and she's just like, that no, like we're not nervous. Like the worst case scenario is hung jury. That's it. Hung jury is the worst case scenario that could happen with this. If there's just like one douchebag on the jury that just doesn't want to exonerate this woman, right? You will not find 12 to convict. That is not going to happen. Literally, the worst thing the longer this goes on, the more there's probably one guy that's just, being problematic, right? That's what I'm guessing. I don't know how you guys feel about it. But again, I don't know what these people are thinking. I don't know if any McAlberts got on. I don't know. The shenanigan this morning with the juror. And Jessica Machado told me to bring up her Twitter account. So let's bring this up. So I think I haven't seen it yet. I haven't had a chance to look. Did she post it? Oh, she took it down? Hey, what's going on? Hey, no. You can definitely talk to him, Jess. Send me the picture. I'll post it. I don't give a shit. You're allowed to post after it's all said and done. So Jessica Machado found. So, all right. So juror number 3. Let's talk about juror number 3. She looks like Pam Beasley. And she, I think she's an attractive woman for her probably late 40s, I would guess. Peppy, dresses well, looks very pleasant, looks clean, educated, alert, probably the most alert juror of all of them. Took notes most of the thing and seemed very pro, not guilty, very pro. Like probably the most. She's the one who mouthed, "What?" when Joseph Paul explained to us how John did a pirouette in the air and landed, hit his head on the curb and then launched himself onto the grass. She's the one that did that. There's also, so she came in today and she just got dismissed outright. Like they called her up and I'm like, oh fuck, what is going on here? Now they called her back and then we were told she's out. They wouldn't tell us what the issue was. So I talked to Alan Jackson today and I asked him what's going on with that. He said he wanted to tell me, but he couldn't. He's like, I can't tell you. We can't. I go, what about after this is over? And he said, yes, after I can definitely say what happened afterwards. I'm just saying they didn't look happy. Like the defense did not look happy about it. And the juror didn't look happy about it. So then again, I could have completely misread this juror. Maybe I'm wrong because Jess Machado tweeted something out that is perfectly legal. And I think I have it here. What's this? Okay, let's see. All right, so let's bring up Jess's tweet. It's gone now. You heard on Vinny's channel, she's pro Karen. Well, how would Vinny know that though? All right, so for anyone wondering if it's possible the jury may be tainted, but also there's no way this juror had not heard this case. It has ties to BPD. So that's not the juror. It's a chick. I have found the identity of the juror who was dismissed today. I found one of her social media accounts. And although there was no option to send her a message, she had dozens of posts that were public, including photos. I identified her immediately. I found a photo that allowed comments an hour ago using our Fall River Reporter account. Commented my name and phone number, asking if she would connect with me. We are allowed to speak with dismissed jurors. She did not respond. Since that time, she has changed the settings on her account so that no posts are available and only 2 pictures are visible. But not before I was able to screenshot this photo she had posted on her timeline from back in 2020. So she posted this picture, and it's a guy, and he's got a Boston police thing. You see that? Now, I don't know what that means. When she told me about this, I'm like, I don't like that. To me, that doesn't prove much. I mean, because it's like anyone could just wear. I own Boston police shit. I own state police shit. I own shit, But like, let's be very clear about this. To all the you can approach any juror after this trial is over. If they're no longer on it, you can talk to any juror you want. Any juror you want. Jurors often give interviews after trial. You can contact them and ask them a question. And if they choose not to engage with you, that's their choice. But you have a right to ask. There's nothing wrong with that. If she's a reporter, if she wants to ask. And so I'm going over here on Jess's Twitter and just these fucking morons. Like I hate Twitter's just got so many stupid people on it. All right. So she said, I'm reviewing my previous post. In the meantime, I took it down. I'm new to this. And while I do think what I posted was okay, it was. I want to make sure it is. I appreciate. And then having a juror call you. No, that's not okay. Okay. So this moron, just look at this person. Just look at her. Okay. I mean, this is a stupid person. You can tell just by looking at her. Private equity analyst. Sure you are. Right. Sure you are. True crime junkie. That explains it all. Okay. And although she did retweet this, when you don't have a case, you just regurgitate facts in chronological order. I don't think she understands that happen. I mean, look at this person. Oh my God, their own witness just debunked her hitting John's car. No, dear, that's actually not what happened, but okay. So yeah, this person's telling her, having a juror call you. No, that's not okay. Actually, stupid, it is. It is. I mean, that's just a fact. You can have anybody call you if you want to. Do you think that maybe you pointing out that Jared did this entire trial might have been an issue? Nope, because she didn't dox her. So the jurors are 100% free to speak with whoever they want. That's 100% false, because she said that's what's wrong. Like, I'm new to the true crime thing, but there's a lot of stupid people that are really into, like, people that are too into true crime and like their whole life is true crime. There's a lot of smart people. There's a lot of dumb people too, but just dumb, like, who are just so invested in other people's shit. And I mean, that's kind of what true crime is, right? We're all just invested in other people's shit. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, I don't see what the problem is. Idiot. Oh yeah, sure thing. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, let me read a couple more turtle chats before we play some audio. Canton Town meeting sends $20 and says Sam Nagel is a 4th grade bus bully. He's just a douchebag. He needs to keep his hands to himself. She don't want you, bro. She don't want you. Tatiana sent $10 and said hello from Alaska. All right, Alaska Turtle Riders. $25 or $10 from PS with the comment, Dr. Daddy Turtle Boy, so happy for you. You deserve nothing but the best. Never change. I appreciate that, PS. Nicole Lee sends, what'd you send here? She sent $25, says, I was watching a stream for the Canton Select Board, which I've never done before. And during the public comment portion, a woman talked about Sunday night altercation and how Chris Albert laughed when Jill Daniels called her fat. As she went on about other details, the video all of a sudden buffers and you can't see the rest of her details. Again, and Albert is protected. Exactly. Funny how that happens. I don't have wrinkles, so pull up. Sends $10 and goes, first of all, I want to twist that little wormy homeless boy's wrist after he touched Meredith. Seriously, bro. Don't touch a woman. I mean, what the fuck? And Ryan Nagel came up to me like, why are you talking to him? Why are you talking to my brother? Because your brother's can't keep his hands to himself. Dog. What's your problem? You gave good testimony. We're supposed to like you. Get out of my face, Ryan Nagel. Go hang out with your homely looking sister there that was inside the house when John O'Keefe was murdered. I hate Julie Nagel. I hate her. You just insulted 3 people up and down. I know. She goes, I have wrinkles, but a good heart. I know. But you went around and insulted people. You know? Jill, anyone can get lips, but you can't change pure gross. Brian's so washed up, dude. You don't intimidate anyone. Love you, Turtle. Hope you meet you and your lovely Meredith. I know. You will. We'll be there tomorrow. I'll be there obviously all day. Lindsay sends $5. No comment. Thank you, Lindsay. Any more turtle chats I have to read off here before I do the cash apps? Little Irish girl sends $10 and says, Jen McCabe, I'm sure you can work your way up to top dog after about 5 years in prison. Maybe start a basketball team. Maybe since Doc is the real mayor of Canton, he can arrange some extra yard time. Thanks for all your hard work, Doc. Much love. Yeah, we'll talk about what I thought about them being there. It was freaking weird. Cassie Jones sends 10 and goes, so pumped to hear the words not guilty. I know. Thank you for all your hard work and balls of steel. Special early birthday shout out to my daddy, Mitchell P., who's sweating his sack off in Phoenix. Love you. # free Karen Reed. I was thinking about this today, dude. Seeing all those people there, like 1,000 people watching it everywhere. When that announcement comes out, not guilty, it is going to explode. Like the place is going to go nuts. But then I was thinking, like, what if it came back guilty? Like I don't even want to think about that. But that it might explode even more if that happens. Like I couldn't even imagine what this crowd would do. Not that I'm saying they would do anything bad or anything like that. But it would be, people would be pissed. People would be pissed. It would be just an injustice, an absolute injustice. But it's a moot point because she's going to be not guilty. And I polled the crowd. I went around the crowd today. I asked everyone, do you think Karen Reed's guilty or not guilty? Every single person said not guilty. So probably the jury's going to do the same thing. Thank you. Jennifer sent 10, and even in like the polls, like I tweeted out some stuff today, like the Emily D. Baker poll was like 97%. Did they say 97% not guilty or 97% Jackson did a better job than Lally? I forget. But it's just like overwhelming from neutral audiences that she's going to be found not guilty. Okay, next one. Jennifer sends $10, says, saw there was a McAlbert president court today. How was that vibe? Who invited them? So let's talk about that. When the McAlberts got there, so I get there and I went to my car for a second to grab something. And who's coming in? A police presence, bringing them in. I see Brian Albert, I see Colin Albert, and I see Jennifer McCabe. You have to be fucking kidding me. Now, they were invited. People are like, what are they doing there? And I think your anger is misplaced. If your anger is at Jennifer McCabe, Brian Albert and Colin Albert, I think your anger is misplaced. Your anger shouldn't be at those scum bucket trash bags. Your anger should be at Peggy O'Keefe and Paul O'Keefe, because they are trash too. And you could clip this. I don't give a shit. I've taken shit for this. I don't care. I stand by every single negative thing, every single nasty negative thing I said about Peggy and Paul O'Keefe was validated today. They were there at their son's murder trial because Peggy and Paul O'Keefe invited them there. They invited John's killers. Enough with this bullshit with the O'Keefes. Oh, the poor O'Keefes. They've been lied to by the district attorney's office. They don't know anybody. No. How about this? The O'Keefes just suck. How about that? Peggy O'Keefe is just a shitty, miserable shrew. How about that? It's unfortunate that 2 of her children have died. That's very sad. Don't get me wrong. And under normal circumstances, I would feel for her, right? I feel for John O'Keefe, but not really for her. I don't, you know what I mean? She's just a shitty, miserable person. And just because your kids die doesn't mean that you get a pass for not being a shitty, miserable person, right? So I'm going to send the invite to the Glare too. I want him on there because I know, I love Will. But he's, a lot of people out there are kind of afraid to take off the gloves when it comes to the O'Keefes. They're like, I don't really want to criticize them, and then you can't criticize the fit. No. What they did today was the most disrespectful shit I've ever seen in my entire life. What they did to disrespect the honor of their son and brother by bringing the murderers with them to court. The people who murdered John O'Keefe to court came with them, and that is the most disrespectful thing I've ever seen. It was a trashy move. Some people did they bring them to intimidate the jury? No, they didn't do. That's not why they brought them. They might have brought them to kind of maybe they thought there was some clause that I had to leave. That might have been a thing. And by the way, this is the same people who brought the fake victim with them to court as well on February 26th to have me ejected because she had a bullshit order on me, which has since been amended, and she has not been invited back by them since then. Kicked to the curb, no longer useful. But they showed up not to intimidate the jury. I don't even think to kick me out because that wasn't going to work. They showed up because Peggy and Paul O'Keefe wanted to make a statement. They wanted to make a statement to that jury to say, we don't believe a single goddamn thing the defense said. We don't believe it. All that evidence you just heard showing that he was in the house and that he was not hit by a car. In one ear, out the other. I don't give a fuck about any of that shit. I don't care about any of that shit because I don't like Karen Reed and I don't like Turtle Boy. So I am going to disrespect. I'm going to take a steaming shit on my brother and my son's grave, and I'm going to bring his murderers to court with them. Fuck them. Fuck them. If I see any more sympathy for these pieces of shit, I'm going to lose my mind. They suck. And that should be your default opinion now too. She laughed during the trial. Fuck her. She came to my arraignment. That had nothing to do with her. I mean, nothing. I made sure when they came in, we didn't boo them. Nothing like that. Fuck them. Peggy O'Keefe is trash. And tomorrow, Karen Reed is going to be completely free. And Peggy O'Keefe is going to be a miserable shrew trash bag. That's it. That's it. Fucking clip it. Send it to Julie Grant. I don't give a fuck. Y'all know it's true. Y'all know it's true. That's it. I keep it real. I'm gonna bring Will on. How you doing, Will?
What's up, bud?
It's true, isn't it?
I mean, here's my thing on that. And yes, you're absolutely right that my opinion is I don't feel comfortable. I mean, that's the way I've always been. This is not the first case I've ever covered. and there's always victims in these cases. And I've always advocated for victims and their families. This is one of the reasons that I do that is because I don't know what's going on. And I'm of the opinion that they have the right to believe and feel whatever they do. And I may have opinions about it, but at the same time, it doesn't make any difference in my life. But here's the thing, honestly, and I said this before, I talked about this on my channel. Other people, there are certain people, and I believe you to be one of those people who has a right to your feelings, and you have a right to say the things that you say because you have invested and sacrificed a lot more than anybody besides Karen in this situation, besides Karen and John, obviously in this situation. And you have a right to those feelings. You have a right to feel like they're spitting in your face, despite all of the evidence that you've uncovered through your hard work and through your aggressive investigative tactics. So I don't blame you or feel like you shouldn't do that or you shouldn't be feeling that way. I'm never going to do that because I don't know what it's like to have done the things that you've done or have to sit in jail for 2 months for having done nothing. And then on top of that, deal with going to eat with my girlfriend and the very people who are supposedly afraid of me are antagonizing me physically to respond so that I violate my bail and get thrown, and they have no fear of consequence themselves. That's got to be something that's going to drive me crazy. And I empathize with you on that. But the problem is my position, dude, I'm just a guy who is on YouTube and I talk about cases. This has been the case since I started talking about it, and it's never changed. I'm still just a guy. There's people who try to compare me to you and say, oh, well, you pick up the pieces and Turtle Boy's not around, blah, blah, blah. I honestly don't want to hear that. And that's out of respect for you, not out of disrespect. That's out of respect because I haven't done a fraction of the work that you put into this case. I'm just a guy who likes to talk, and I'm grateful that I entertain other people as much as I entertain myself when I run my mouth, period. So I don't feel like I have the right to start throwing shade at this family who I have no idea what's being told to them by the Commonwealth. I have no idea what's being told to them by the McCabe's
but
and the Alberts.
You know what's being told to them by the ARCA guy. You know what he's telling them.
Right. No, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not afraid to say, dude, what in the fuck is it going to take for these people to actually listen to the evidence and realize
nothing? They don't give a shit. They don't.
You know what I mean? Shit. So don't get me wrong. I have my opinions on why in the shit are they like not registering?
Because they want to be McAlberts. These people want to be McAlberts. That they think it's cool to be Canton royalty. That's all it comes down to. They're trashy. They're trashy fucking people who do shit like this in court. When they brought, like 3 days after I got out of jail, they invited this lying skag with them to court who sent me to jail on a lie, and they thought it would be funny. So I went up to Paul and asked him about it.
Paul, do you have any shame at all doing something like that?
Hey, look what's up.
You think domestic violence is funny? Do you?
Orange looks
Do
better on you.
Do you think domestic violence is funny? Do you? Yes or no? Yes. You are a disgrace to your brother, dude. A disgrace.
Look at her. Look at her.
You are a disgrace.
Listen to this.
I'll see whatever I want.
What, you hear yell that?
Showed up for the first time.
Where's Lindsay? She yells to me. Where's Lindsay? Probably sucking for crack in an alley somewhere, I'm guessing. But like, I don't know. You tell me.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, she's your friend now.
If there's anyone on this platform that in this case, involved in this case, if there's one person that I've noticed is completely unpredictable, it's probably Lindsay Gattani.
Yeah. Probably.
So it's probably best to bet.
So she's, that's just my feeling. I don't want to get too hung up on that. Let me read a couple more turtle chats here. And again, being next to them in court, I'll just show you before I have so much to talk about. It's going to be a long show, folks. So let me see here. So this is them later on. Like, if you guys didn't see this, them coming out, like, okay, so there's Colin and there's Brian, and there they are, and they sat there the whole time like idiots. These people walked to their car, the media followed them and asked them, like, who invited you guys? You know, like how'd you guys get here? Like why are you here? And they just wouldn't talk. They all got in their car and ran away because they don't want to talk. They just thought, oh, we'll just make our statement by being here. Fuck. And think about this, Will. Of all the Alberts that you could invite to this thing, why Colin? Like,
I got a lot of thoughts.
Why isn't
about what
you
the
didn't,
subject?
like, Chris Albert at least came to some pretrial shit. Brian Albert and Colin Albert never showed up. And inviting those three in particular, probably the three people most associated with being inside 34 Fairview Road and having something to do with John O'Keefe's death, they invited them. They didn't invite Juliana Nagel or Sarah Levinson or somebody like that. They invited those three.
Well, what I found interesting was, like I'm looking at, I'm like, why those four people? None of them are right. Why are they not? Why is it? None of them are immediately related to each other. They're related, except for Carrie. But what's interesting is that they are 3 or 4 out of the 5 people that were implicated the most as being shady and most likely suspects, aside from Karen Reed, besides Higgins, right? Mm-hmm. So Higgins wasn't there, but everybody else who was the most suspicious in this entire thing were sitting right behind the O'Keefes in that courtroom, individually, each one, which is very strange. You had Colin, you had Jen McCabe, Brian Albert. Like these were the most shadiest people with the most to hide. Now, I agree with you. I don't think they were there to intimidate the jury per se, but I think that they were definitely there to stall, disrupt, and distract. I think that was the entire purpose, because the jury, it's plainly obvious to anybody who's in that courtroom which way the jury was leaning before they even made these closing arguments. And I believe this was a tactic by Lally, who talked the O'Keefes into it, who got them to do it. And like I said, I think they were there to stall, disrupt, and distract.
They're hoping that if the jury looks at them and says, well, if the O'Keefes are okay with these people, and if the O'Keefes don't think they did it, then why should I? That's what they wanted to bring them in for. I definitely influenced the jury.
I also think, because the first thing that I thought was they were there for the same reason that they brought Lindsay Catani over there, right? Is because I figured that they knew you would be in the courtroom and get you kicked out because they're supposedly afraid of you. And I find it to be a bit more of, I've learned from following this case to look at things that seem like more of a coincidence to probably assume that they are more than a coincidence, right? So I'm thinking that them being there and them being those particular people was again probably just some way to get you booted out, cause a disruption, make them out to be victims. But I guess I was wrong, because you sat there the whole time. You got to sit there, and you were you were right above Brian.
I could have shined his head.
Right.
I kept looking down at him too.
And I don't think the coincidence I was getting at, or not so much, is that it happened right after what happened in Canton when you went to CF McCarthy's with Meredith.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the timing of that is too interesting.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is again, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to me is like the masters of Streisand effect. Like they just can't seem to capture that concept, because I felt like it worked better for the defense to have them in there, because the problem is you can't hide how shady those people look. You can't hide how shady the defense made them look the entire time. So here you are, and you stick them right in eye view of the jury, and the jury's going to be like, dude, that's going to help the defense.
Right.
They can't hide how fucking dead in your eyes they look.
Right.
Right. And they can't hide how they were caught in numerous lies. They can't hide everything that was pointed out in Jackson's closing arguments to be absolute fact.
Yeah.
They can't hide how they absolutely ended up looking here. So I feel like, how did Lally not realize that that's the case? Like,
right.
you're putting them in there to distract and disrupt, but what's going to happen is they're going to resent you for it, and they're going to.
I hope so.
Right. I think so. I don't see how they couldn't.
We'll see.
I don't see how they, yeah.
Let me read a few more here. Let's see. Bradford sends $25. Says word on the street is the dismissed juror was at Dedham Legion having drinks last night, talking about being a turtle rider and stating she would vote for an acquittal. An off-duty cop was there and filmed her. I'm from the area, and I've heard that same rumor, something about that she was talking at a bar. And if that happened, oh my fucking God, Jesus Christ. Like, well, I hope not. Franny May sends $10 and says, Aidan, when this is over, can you look into the suspicious death of Christine Mello from Weymouth? It's totally disappeared by the press, and Proctor was also the lead on that too. Didn't they catch who did it, Franny May? But yeah, definitely. Sarah Miller sends $100 and says, wow, no need to read to the class. Oh, but I'm going to read it anyway.
Okay.
Just saying thank you for all your hard work and dedication to this and so many other cases. You're a great example to so many people who want to fight for justice but aren't sure how. It's very kind of you, Sarah. I appreciate that. Kate sends $10 and says, we love you and appreciate everything you've done to expose this corruption. We love watching you and can't wait for the victory for Karen. Only the start, though. We need to see the McAlberts in cuffs. Kate and MC Hammer. Yes, that'd be great. Brittany sends $5. Says, Turtle Boy, do you know if it's true that Lucky is being bullied and denied entry into eating establishments? No, that is definitely not true. Thank you very much.
No,
Brittany.
everybody's buying that dude a beer, man.
Exactly.
That guy's not paying for a drink for the rest of his life.
We just had a chant for him at the select board meeting where his brother's the chairman. It was wild. Aaron sends $50 and says, I love Susan and Patty. Aaron, the Lily Pulitzer Townie punk. Free Karen Reed, not guilty tomorrow. Yes, I'm feeling that too. Thank you. Chris Coit sends $100. Thanks. Chris is the guy who let us use his joint in Taunton for our first meet and greet, our first live show in Taunton last April. And he says, all your success is so well-deserved. Well, thank you very, very much, Chris. Lizzie sends $25 and says, Adam Lally is the cure to insomnia. Yes, he is. He's something else, isn't he? Andrea sends $25 and says, Doc, I've been following you for years. As this is coming to an end, I just want to say you're the man. You're a top-notch reporter, and I'm so happy to see this happen for you. Good for you for all you've done. Those idiots show their true color Sunday. I can't wait to hear that sweet victory. Not guilty. Free Karen Reed. Love you guys. Jackson and his team killed it. Yes, I can't wait to hear those words. It's going to be so sweet. So sweet.
Yeah. It feels like so long, you know, like
I know, dude.
Year.
I know.
It's like, so crazy. Like if you think about all of the arguments we've had with people, all of the conversations, all of the live streams, all of the, I mean, and you look at you, like all of the articles you wrote, you did 2 months in jail. You rallied people together more than once, more than twice, more than 3 times. And now here we are. This is the moment of truth for so much of that, because the overall thing is to get justice for John, right? But freeing Karen Reed, massive chunk out of that. You know what I mean? It's a massive chunk. So all of everything that everyone's done and pulled together, and the patience that people have had, the patience that the supporters have had, going out there every day relentlessly, people like Scott McGinnis, who's always out there, you know, Tom, who's always out there. I mean, and never losing their temper, never losing their cool. Just it's amazing that this is finally here.
Yeah, it feels surreal, man. And I just can't. I just thinking about like that. I'm probably going to hear those words. If I was a betting man, you know, I would bet that we're going to hear not guilty tomorrow. Like odds are really good that she's going to be found not guilty, and that will come tomorrow. And it's
before or after lunch.
That's a good question.
I'm calling before. I only because I said it like day before yesterday. I think yesterday or the day before. And no, I said it when Yannetti. I said it Friday night, because Yannetti said that he was that they expected to wrap up their case by Monday, and then Tuesday have the closing arguments. It's right on schedule. So I said, based on that, Wednesday by lunch, I'm calling it. So we'll see. Hopefully, it's just for fun, but
yeah, I mean, it would be fun to have like a pool where you can guess the exact minute the verdict gets read. Like that'd be cool. But okay, yeah, I think I'm agree with you. I say before lunch. I'm with you on that one. I just got a video sent to me. Let me see if I have it here. Let's see. It's going to be sent of their entrance, the McAlberts entrance into it's a good one. So
I think I saw this. This is
But in the meantime, let me read some more. Let's see. I read those ones. Okay. Let's see. Do I Canton Town meeting? Oh, I already got that one. Okay. Let me read a couple of turtle cash apps here. We got Mama. She 13 sends $50 and says, "Hail Dr. Daddy." It says, "Hail Dr. Daddy, Turtle Boy. Hashtag Karen Reed is innocent. Thank you much." Souza sends $10. No comment. Thank you, Souza. Okay. Next one says Joe sends $10. It says, "P.S. The ceiling fan is now named Bob." The ceiling fan. People were calling for the ceiling fan when Adam Lally was talking. Like, bring back the ceiling fan. It's more interesting.
I got in full fuck it mode today, man. Like during his cross, I was just dropping sound bites and clips, and I didn't give a fuck because we heard it all, dude. I didn't need to hear a summary of his lies and bullshit. But we still heard most of it. But I was just like fart noises.
I need
no respect for this guy.
I need to take a selfie with the ceiling fan tomorrow before I leave. Like, that's a good idea. It's the most famous ceiling fan in the world. Jim Ferris Bueller sends $10 and says, "Next time I see you, I'm going to finger pop your fart box." Okay, thanks, Jim. Interesting. Nicole sends $5 and says, "Cleaners were only able to go after defense rested." Cleaners. Okay, thank you. Joe sends $25, says, "Free Karen. Also upload it, bang, bang to Apple." I know we need to do that. Shannon sends $10 and goes, "Heart, I love Will. Please don't stop covering corruption here. I will never stop doing that, Shannon. Thank you very much." Nancy sends $5 and goes, "Mr. O refused to go because the McAlberts are there." Is that true? It is interesting that Mr. O'Keefe was not there for closing statements and would not have been there for the verdict. Like, wow, that's very interesting.
I find it interesting too, because that he would have had a seat had one of those McAlberts not been there.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it sounds like he gave up his seat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just didn't want to participate. Gross.
Right.
Renee sends $100. Thank you, and says, "Have a celebratory meal on me tomorrow." Will do, Renee. I'll do just that. Thank you. Ashley also sends $100. Holy shit. You guys are generous here. Says, "Can I get a shout out for Mom's Huge Feet on X?" Shout out to Mom's Huge Feet. All right. Thank you, Ashley. Shannon sends $5 and says, "You did an amazing job bringing this case to light." Well, thank you very much, Shannon. I tried my best. Brian sends $5, says, "Heard a rumor Proctor was arrested Friday. Is it true?" No. Thank you. Jen, where do these people get this shit? like that wouldn't be all over the news. Like, Jen sends $45, says, "Thanks for your courageous reporting." My pleasure. Bridget sends $5 and says, "Will Karen get her car back when she's not guilty?" I thought about that you would assume so.
Are they going to fix her fucking light? Like, will they at least do that?
They'd have to admit they broke it first.
Right.
James sends $10 and says, "Hope verdict at 227 for Jen Shockino." Imagine the verdict came at 227. Like, that would be cool.
That would have been crazy.
Yeah.
That would have been
Scott
wild.
sends $5 and it says, "Bro, how is it being within feet of the McAlberts?" Surreal. Like, I'm like, they're right fucking there. They're right there. Like, I thought these people were so scared of me too, and they come seek me out. Yeah.
Looking at it with surreal. Honestly, it was
like seeing me right behind them. Like, yeah.
It was
that was
like the whole
wild.
chat the whole time. Every time they would show a shot, you'd be like, "Dude, look at that shit." He's like right above him.
I know.
Look, this is not a good look for the prosecution at all.
Not at all.
So weird.
Yeah. Sharon sends $5 and says, "Watch your balloon knot, Proctor." Yeah, Proctor, take that. $5 from Nancy says, "The tow truck driver stated I did not drive into the Sally port." Well, he didn't testify, so until he says that, it's no good. Lindsay sent $15 early and said, when and where is your verdict watch party? TBD. We're trying to do something for Friday. We're working on a venue. I'll have an announcement about that tomorrow. Thank you very much, Lindsay. Okay. We have Kristen sent $5 on Cash App and said, can we get a shout out for Karen Reed's defense team? I mean, bro, look at the shirt I'm wearing. You know what I mean? Available in the Turtle Boy store, by the way. Check it out there. Thank you very much, Kristen. And Malika sends $5. Oh, she's Karen Reed. Her name's Malika. She's very, very, she's pleasant looking. She's a nice looking chick. I'm not hitting on her or anything. I'm just pointing out facts. She's an attractive woman, and her handle is at Karen Reed is innocent here. You the best. So thank you very much, Malika. Wait, I thought what's at free _ Karen _ Reed? There's so many Twitter accounts. I can't keep track of them all. Nicole.
Yeah, I don't know if the free Karen Reed account on Twitter is like one account or like 10. You know what I mean? Like there's free Karen Reed accounts, and I don't know if it's like one person.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Like,
yeah,
it's wild.
And Nicole sends $5 and says, Gemma McCabe's stare down of Karen was so cringe. I hate her. Yeah, we'll be playing some of that. She's like the most hated person in the world. So if anybody else wants to donate, click on the link to the top for Turtle Chat and donate that way. I'll have your message read out loud. If not, or you can cash at me $, Uncle Turtle Boy. I'll be taking periodic breaks to read them. But we got to start playing some of this of Alan Jackson's historic speech today. And we're going to play Lally's too, and we're going to make fun of it. But we're going to start with, again.
Was lost. So we will hear now from Mr. Jackson.
Again, just like how it's so weird how this. Like, look at Colin. It's so weird. I'm right there. I'm right above Brian.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Look the other way.
I love the theme.
Look the other way. 4 words that sum up the Commonwealth's entire case. 4 words that sum up the hopes of those who have tried to deceive you. Conflicts of interest? Doesn't matter. Just look the other way. Magic hairs, magic glass. Look the other way. Late night calls and Google searches, falsified affidavits, inverted videos, and butt dials galore. Just look the other way.
Look the other way. Yep.
That's what they want. That's what they're counting on. But the uncontrovertible fact is you have been lied to in this courtroom. And your job is to make sure you don't ever look the other way. Your singular duty is to stare down the evidence and do it unflinchingly and do it unwaveringly. You see, you're the only thing standing between Karen Reed and the tyranny of injustice. It's a job you didn't ask for, probably a job you didn't want. But it's the greatest responsibility we have as citizens here in America. Lest the government stop answering to us and we start answering to the government. And low betide any one of us who might find ourselves in the crosshairs of a Michael Proctor. Preparing for today, I was reminded of a quote. It's a quote about the truth, and I want to share it with you. It is of great importance to set a resolution never to tell an untruth. There is no vice so mean, so pitiful, so contemptible, and those who permit themselves to tell a lie once find it much easier to do it a second time and a third. This falsehood of the tongue leads to that of the heart, and in time, it depraves all its good dispositions. What does that mean? It means that it's been observed that to tell an untruth, to exaggerate, to make a false claim, it's a cancer. One lie begets another, and it's a malignancy that grows over time. And that, folks, is how a cover-up is born. That's how a Massachusetts state trooper says in whispered tones to his friends when he thought no one was looking or listening, how he would make a case, how he would make it cut and dry, no matter the truth, how he would make sure to put, quote, serious charges on the girl. In other words, pin it on the girl. You may ask yourself, how does this happen? How could this happen? It's 2024. Surely people aren't going to come to this courtroom, this hall of justice, and lie to us, just give us false information. They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't try to cover up the truth. The Alberts, the McCabe's, Higgins, Lank, Michael Proctor, Yuri Buchanan, Brian Tully.
Yeah, they would
You don't
lie.
have to wonder if they would lie to support their narrative.
I love
You
this
need only
line.
wonder how many times.
How many
they did lie.
times? Exactly.
Over and over and over. They and others were caught deceiving you. Big things, small things. It didn't really matter. They feared nothing.
Nothing.
They'll look you in the eye and deny phone calls. They'll deny secret meetings. They'll claim that calls are butt dials and butt dials are answered. They'll show you a video and tell you left is right and right is left. They'll magically turn 3 pieces of plastic into 5 right before your eyes.
I love that.
And
Right
even
before
when they're
your
caught with
eyes.
their own lies, they won't blink. They don't sweat. They'll just look you in the eye and demand, pay no attention. You folks, look the other way.
Look the other way.
Like,
Love
and Lally put these
Ladies and gentlemen,
people
there was a
right
cover-up
in their
in this
eye
case,
view
plain and
while
simple.
he's telling them
And sure you say to
this.
yourself, I don't want to believe it.
So
I don't
true.
believe that can happen in our community. But sadly,
It's so true, but that's what makes it such an interesting move. Is that like they thought that they thought that like by putting them there like that, like the jury would be like, well, if the O'Keefes are okay with this, then I should be too. I honestly believe that's what they did. And I don't think it's a bad move, to be perfectly honest with you. On their
Did
part,
you feel like putting them there was going to make them look innocent and like victims?
no, I think that I think they want the jury to think.
They didn't.
Well, you don't know what the jury's thinking.
No, it's a good point, but I'm
You know?
saying, like, considering the reactions that we both seen from the jury, considering that stuff.
So I think this was a last ditch move. I think they knew that they're losing, and I thought that we have to make it seem to the jury like the O'Keefes aren't down with this. Have you noticed that the crusty panties of the world, people like this the entire time? Who do they always hide behind? The O'Keefes. They cloak themselves in the O'Keefes. Every criticism of us has been like, you're mean to the O'Keefes. You're mean, like the grieving mother. It's the first thing they always bring up. You booed her. Of course I didn't, but they bring it up. They say, you booed Peggy O'Keefe. You're this and that. You're mean to her. Here's this, like Gretchen Voss had it in her stupid article in Boston Magazine. And it's like, so they wanted to hide behind the O'Keefes. That's what these people are doing. I mean, the O'Keefes, I got to be honest, like Brian Albert, I get it why he did it like that. He sees Peggy and Paul O'Keefe, who are clearly very stupid people, like they're very dumb, and he's like, well, they want to be cool, so we'll just hide behind them because he has no morals. He doesn't give a shit like that. So he's like, yeah, these fucking idiots, we killed their son, and now we just get to hide behind them. Okay,
this is easily the most bizarre dynamic between people I've ever seen, the most bizarre attempts to twist the truth that are blatantly obvious. Like the assumption that the public and this jury is dumb coming from this Commonwealth is astounding. It's like, they will look the jury right in the face and basically try to tell them that water is dry and expect that, and to just throw a bunch of word salad together and expect them to be like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess water might be dry. No. And and they don't realize by confusing the jury, they're hurting themselves because the whole point of the defense is to create doubt.
Right.
But if they're not making sense to the jury, they're already creating that doubt for the jury, and the defense barely has to do anything. It's fascinating. This is the worst prosecution I've ever seen.
And we're going to get to them.
Over the past 8 weeks, you've seen it right before your eyes. So how does a cover-up happen? How could that happen? Well, let's count the ways, shall we? Handpick your investigator. Make sure it's someone we know, someone on our side. Keep them close. Offer them help. Offer them a gift. Have secret friends and family meetings. Get your story straight. Delete your call history. Make mysterious phone calls at 2:22 a.m. Delete Google searches. Monitor police activity. Get rid of evidence. Get rid of your dog. Destroy your phones. Destroy your SIM card. For the investigator, decide on a narrative early on.
So much shit.
Don't go to the crime scene. Don't take witnesses in for questioning. Question all the witnesses together. Ignore witnesses who don't fit your narrative. Allow friends and family to contact those same witnesses. Don't record interviews. Write vague and false police reports. Omit witnesses' names. Omit witnesses' interviews altogether. Don't photograph the evidence. Don't conduct any forensics. Don't document the evidence. Don't document the logs. Don't create any logs whatsoever, and don't maintain a chain of custody. Keep all the evidence in the hands of one person, and then manipulate that evidence, including videos. Don't turn over videos. Invert videos. Turn 4:16 p.m. into 5:30
Just like
p.m.
that.
in affidavits. Turn 3 pieces of taillight into 5 pieces.
It's
of
just
taillight.
wild when you put
Delete
it all
42 minutes of
together, like
surveillance
all
footage,
the
high
shit they've
personal
done.
relationships. Make this case cut and dry and ensure the homeowner, quote, never sees any shit because he's a Boston cop. But most importantly, pick your patsy and pin it on the girl.
Pin on the girl.
It's not that it could happen. It's that every single one of those things I just mentioned did happen.
Right.
Did happen,
Right
exactly.
in front of you.
Right.
So
But
powerful.
this sort of injustice can't happen in a vacuum. So what about the prosecution? What about the Commonwealth? What does it look like when the government picks a narrative and then tries to form a prosecution around the narrative instead of the other way around? Looks a lot like this. If you don't have actual evidence, just throw single thing you can against the wall to see what sticks. Drag her through the mud and make sure you attack her character. And that's what you saw in this case. The Commonwealth spent much of their time and resources trying to vilify Karen Read. They desperately resorted to calling witnesses to talk about Karen Read and John O'Keefe's arguments. They even stooped so low as to call the children and put them through this ordeal.
Yes.
All to say that John sometimes got upset because Karen was too kind, too nice, spoiled them too much.
Yeah.
Their arguments illustrated what anybody could imagine is a normal set of ups and downs for any couple. Even on January 28th, they talked it out, they communicated, they worked out their issues, and they had a nice, affectionate evening out with their friends. And you don't have to take my word for it. Pull the tape, as they say. Look at the videos. C.F. McCarthy, Waterfall. What are the words that every single person who testified in this case used about Karen Read and John O'Keefe that night? Getting along, no issues, good mood, happy. affectionate, even lovey-dovey. No issues, no toxicity. They were a loving couple right up until the time Karen Reed dropped him off and he walked into 34 Fairview. If an argument with a loved one is a motive for murder, folks, we're all in trouble. Speaking of which, what is the evidence that John went into the house? The Commonwealth will tell you, undoubtedly, no, he never went in the house. And they'll point to certain witnesses who they say didn't see him go in. Well, the question you have to ask yourself is, can you rely on that? First, these are all people who are related to or committed to the Alberts in some way or another.
That out. I mean, there's so much.
That all-powerful Canton family, it's easy to say, I didn't see something, because how can that really be challenged?
Exactly.
Our second son actually will not concede.
I mean, they always say this. They always just like, well, how could all of these people be in on the cover-up? Because they don't want to go to jail, because they're a family.
Right. It's just so funny to me that it's, the defense had to have been like, oh, this is great. The prosecution, the O'Keefes, have provided the jury with visual aid while I paint the picture of how nasty they are. Because they're going to get to sit there and look at their nasty faces with the looks on their faces the entire time I describe everything and remind them of how they lied on the stand numerous times.
Right.
And the things that I prove that they did, so
right.
It's crazy that they're sitting there. I still can't get over that.
It's like, come on. And he goes on.
John walked into the house.
Right.
We were in the kitchen, as you recall, from Nicole. Third, at least one witness, Brian Higgins, forgot his narrative, at least for a second, and he admitted a man did, in fact, come into the house.
Did come into the house, yeah.
And asked to describe that man. He had to.
Right.
A little bit vague. You remember what he said. He was tall, with dark hair. That was a telling slip of the tongue by Brian Higgins. But what's the real evidence of the unbiased data, the data that's not connected to the Albert family? How about John's Apple Health data? It shows that at 12:21 a.m., an important time, John arrived. That's established by the monotonic time clock you heard about in this trial. It was on his phone, and that represents a huge problem for the Commonwealth. It shows that he took 80 steps and ascended or descended 3 flights of stairs at that time. And that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? It matches. Walks into the house,
love how
goes directly to the basement. There's your 80 steps and your descending flights of stairs. The big problem for the Commonwealth is he wasn't outside at the car ascending and descending stairs, wasn't climbing on top of the car.
Yes.
So they'll tell you, wait, don't look at the Apple Health data. Look at this other thing called Waze. But Rick Green explained that if you apply the 3-minute offset that is built into that monatomic time, it aligns perfectly.
I'm so happy he said that, because to me that's the most underrated part is the Apple Health data showing John ascending and descending stairs. It's the most important thing that proves that John was inside that house. This nonsense that they came up with Waze and GPS and the plots showing that like actually he was here at this time, and we know that he was here because the street has a 50-foot drop. And then Turtle Boy goes to Canton and shows you it's the flattest street in America. And you know what I mean? It's just like
it's such an easy fix too. It's like, have you guys not been paying attention? Is there anything about me that indicates to you that I'm not going to get in my car, go check out?
That's what, I'm going to go there.
I mean,
I'm going to Canton.
Colin Albert lied on the stand, said he never got into a fight. Who went out and found at least 2 fucking videos of him fighting like the next day?
Yeah.
So it's like, what do you people expect?
Yeah.
So you have this, and also it's very fascinating too that he's saying these things and the defense managed to incredible how they did this. They managed to build a more sound timeline for what happened. The defense did this. That's not the defense's job. So they managed to build a more sound timeline than the prosecution, because the prosecution's timeline just didn't make sense. Everybody was like, what? Yeah. And they did this by catching some of it by catching lies, right? They caught Jennifer McCabe lying on the timeline, but then they corrected it with the Wi-Fi, and then you take that Wi-Fi time and you give it to, and you put that up against the time where John O'Keefe supposedly entered the house and ascended and descended stairs. It adds up. It connects. This is fascinating that they managed to do this.
They don't want you to see that. They don't want you to pay attention. They want you to look the other way. But even more importantly, at approximately 12:32 a.m., someone holding John's phone takes another 36 steps and travels 25 meters. Why is that so important? Because by 12:32 a.m., Karen Reed was gone. She had already left the location. She left at 12:30. Trooper Garino told you that Karen Reed's phone connected to John's Wi-Fi at what time? 12:36.
I love how they use that against.
In this case,
I love how they use that against.
It's a 6-minute drive on a good day from 34 Fairview over to One Meadows. She was gone by 12:30, and John's phone was taking 36 steps and logging 25 meters at 12:32 after she left. So don't be fooled. John walked into that house, after which Karen drove away, and the scientific data all prove it. But also, Ryan Nagel and Heather Maxim prove it.
Yes.
In addition to the Apple Health data, Ryan and Heather both independently testified that they passed Karen's SUV as they drove away after talking to Julie. And Karen was alone in the SUV. John was not with her. He wasn't in the car. He wasn't standing outside the car. He wasn't sitting beside the car. He wasn't laying on the ground beside the car. He was nowhere in sight. There's only one other place that John could have been, and that's in the house.
Yes.
Exactly where the Apple Health data places him.
And
That's
this
what
is
all
great.
fits.
Verbatim what we've been
And Ryan
saying
was
for
right behind her,
months, based
remember,
on Ryan
staring at her
Nagel's
taillights.
statement.
Undamaged, brightly lit. That brings up another difficulty for the Commonwealth, and that's their star witness, Jennifer McCabe. You'll recall that Jennifer McCabe claimed that she was looking out the door, staring at that SUV over and over and over again from 12:29 to 12:50. She was very specific about that time frame. But we know that the SUV was gone from 34 Fairview by about 12:30. Had to be in order to connect to the Wi-Fi at 12:36.
Exactly.
So unequivocally, Jennifer McCabe was lying about watching that SUV, and it makes you wonder why. And to add to that deceit, she was also blatantly lying about the calls to John's phone. You remember that colloquy back and forth. She said that every single one of those calls to John's phone during that time was a butt dial. How are those lines connected? And why are they connected? Jennifer McCabe knows. Was she butt dialing John over and over? Or was someone looking for John's phone that went missing? Let's talk for a second about what actually happened in the time leading up to everyone going to 34 Fairview. Brian Albert, Brian Higgins show up drunk at the waterfall. They've been drinking in the afternoon.
There's Brian
about
Albert in the
flirtatious
background.
texts, that were sent between Karen Reed and Brian. Higgins was clearly pining over Karen, but for her, the flirtation had ran its course. It was done. She was happy and committed to John. You can see that in her actions with John that night. You don't have to guess. Brian Higgins, however, you can see in his actions, he wasn't quite so satisfied and he wasn't done. His text message, meaning, what the hell, Karen? What about me?
Yeah, what about me?
Seemed aggressive, seemed annoyed. He didn't like being ignored. That was pretty clear. So he's 5 or 6 whiskeys deep into the night by this time.
No
and
beers.
She continued to ignore him. Then oddly, Higgins, who doesn't know John all that well, seems to want to coax John to 34 Fairview. I'll draw your attention to the waterfall tape if you want to take another look at it. It's at the 11:57 mark, between 11:57 and 11:58. Take a look at that tape. He's just about to leave. Higgins is just about to leave. He points over at John. He motions for him. Come with me. And then at 12:20, he texts him, "You coming here?" This is a person he doesn't really know and didn't really talk to that entire night. Ask yourself, why was Higgins so insistent that John go to 34 Fairview that night?
Yeah, that's a good question.
And then there's that sparring and fighting that he and Brian Albert were engaged in.
Ass grabbing.
Of all the things they could be doing,
Grab ass.
Grab
this is what they
ass.
were doing
Sorry.
just minutes before John O'Keefe walked into that house at 34 Fairview. We know that once John actually did walk in the door, it's about 2 steps, 4 feet or so, 2 steps for an adult male to reach that basement door. Remember, everybody was gathered in the kitchen. That's what Nicole Albert said. And every single witness agreed that at some point, Brian Higgins and Brian Albert left the group and went to another room. Where did they go? Where did they go together? Another important point. Chloe was not upstairs. Brian Albert slipped in one of his testimony that he provided. Quote, "I was watching Chloe downstairs, monitoring her because of the other people in the house. She's not good with strangers." Remember that testimony. So what happened next? We absolutely know that John was in the house. The data, Ryan, Heather, they all established that.
First of all, look at Carrie Roberts just chewing gum like a cow. Just look at her.
Listen,
We know that Brian Higgins and Brian Albert.
I was chewing I was chewing gum the second day and a bailiff
Yeah. Oh, they're like all over you. But
Yeah,
like,
I was sitting next to Brian, and the dude reached right over Brian's face with a piece of paper, over my under my mouth, and I was like, "Sorry."
I mean, she
it
looks like
was-
just cattle feasting on fresh grass. Just look at her.
Excuse themselves. How long does it take to have a crossword? How long does it take to have a fight? How long would it take for Brian Higgins to say to John, your girl's been texting me.
Your girl's been texting.
A push, a punch, a fall, pull Chloe off his arm, and now it's done.
Yeah.
What was that? 5 seconds? 10? It doesn't take long
Totally.
at all.
I love it. I love
And
all
then
these.
panic sets in.
Yeah.
It wasn't intended to go that far, but what's done is done. And then some very, very odd things start happening at the Albert household. Very odd indeed. What do we know? We know through the testimony and key swipes that Brian Higgins very oddly goes directly to Canton Police Department. Why would he do that? After a night of drinking and partying, why go to CPD when you're drunk? What was so important there?
Exactly.
He couldn't even get his own story straight. First he said it was administrative work, then he said he was moving cars, then he said it was a factor of both. Is it both? Was it neither? Or was it?
But he took his personal Jeep.
Ask yourself,
He took
why
his
go?
personal Jeep because
The odd things keep
it's
piling up.
against
He's alone.
policy to be drinking and using a company vehicle. But he went back to park a bunch of company vehicles.
While drinking
While
the
he's
entire
drunk.
day.
Right.
The entire day. It's just wild. Brian Albert, he's so cold, dude. How he just sits
Higgins is
there.
the worst liar of them all.
He is. And it just, it's just wild how Brian, this is free. Oh yeah, how Brian Albert just sits there in the background, just cold, just listening
Totally
to this guy
stone-faced.
just be like, yeah, Brian Albert's the killer. He doesn't really react much.
He's a stone wall.
Yeah,
like it's crazy.
Like this means nothing to me. But like, bro, Brian, my question for Brian is, where you been, bro? Like you're Mr. Like I don't give a fuck. All of a sudden,
right?
Yeah,
And
you
look
weren't
at the
so
way they
tough
dress.
when you went to that game last year and somebody took a selfie and you guys were in the background. You're like hiding like rats. You moved to Norwood to hide like the fucking rat piece of shit you are. You murdering piece of shit, Brian Albert. You disgrace. Everyone in the Boston Police Department hates you. You fucking murdering piece of shit. God, I hate him. He's such a pussy.
Yeah. He's just a disgusting. Like he really gives me the willies, dude. Like the guy is.
And if the day ever comes where Brian Albert's arrested, Brian Albert is not going to go quietly. Brian Albert is going to put a gun in his mouth and pull the trigger. And I say good riddance to that, Brian. You know you're going to take the coward's way out, brother. You know you're going to. He ain't going to jail. He ain't going to jail.
No,
he's not like me. He can't do hard time, right? He's not built for that life. He's a pussy. He'll kill himself, no doubt about it. Just saying.
I see a lot of them. There's a few of them I consider to have that possibility who sat up there on the stand and lied and looked really, really culpable. I see Higgins being the same way. I just don't see these people. Like, look at the overall vibe of their actions is coward. You know what I mean? Like they cover up a murder and nobody takes accountability. Nobody is encouraged to take accountability. They all act like absolute children when it comes to it. I mean, those people, the way that they behave, look at the way they're dressed now. Like, look at Colin. Colin was dressed like a freaking, like a jock thug goon when you ran into him in Canton, and then here he's dressed like an altar boy.
Yeah, no, right.
It's just really, come on, man. You're not fooling anybody.
Yeah.
Chloe was the Albert family pet. Not only did she appear to be gone from the house that morning on January 29th, nobody saw her there. Even Jim McCabe admitted, I didn't see her there. But they actually got rid of the dog altogether. Within months of this incident, the dog was gone, out of the house, rehomed, never to be seen again. This was a dog they had had for 7 years.
Yeah.
Also a dog who had a bite history.
Yeah.
Why was it so important to get rid of that dog? Was there something about the dog they did not want law enforcement to find out?
Right.
Recall what Dr. Russell said. She's seen up to 1,000 animal attacks. In her expert opinion, John's right arm, those injuries are from an animal, quote, most likely a large dog. And Dr. Russell's testimony, I'll remind you, was undisputed by any witness for the Commonwealth. But there are more odd and unexplained things. After a night of drinking and hanging out and partying, after being together for the entire day at 2:22 a.m., Brian Albert decides to call Brian Higgins. That call was missed. 17 seconds later, Higgins calls Brian back, and they speak for 22 seconds.
But
now, that call is odd and suspicious enough, and just in and of itself, the fact that the call was made. But what's even more incriminating is that both of them, lied about the calls happening. They both claim astonishingly that those calls are, you probably say it with me, the butt dials. Amazing. But Albert and Higgins take it a step further. Not only did they claim that they were making calls as butt dials, but they were answering calls as butt dials. And Higgins seemed awfully
during coitus.
Remember on cross-examination, that's what I was asking. Can you have a conversation in 22 seconds? He unequivocally said, no, that's impossible. It's not reasonable. You can't do it. Well, let's test that out. Hey, did you make it over to Canton? Yep. Haven't been any calls. Nobody knows a thing. All right, don't talk to anybody until we talk again. Okay, fine. And by the way, come back over. I need help moving something heavy.
Yeah. I love how Alan Jackson,
15 seconds? Maybe.
Even though there's like no evidence of this whatsoever, like not evidence that this exact theory happened. He's the master of like painting a picture and saying this could happen. Like this is a scenario that could have happened that sounds plausible. Like this sounds like, this, of course you could have a conversation where you could, these are the things that you can say in 22 seconds. This is the kind of conversation. And he's just so good at that, at painting a picture,
Right. The details in the pictures he's painting while at the same time proving that the person lied. Saying that there's no way a phone call could have been that short. You can't have a conversation that quickly.
Right.
And he's like, he just right now described that you could absolutely
here's a conversation
do that.
you can have. Here's a conversation you could have, and it's actually really plenty of time.
Right.
That this guy's just lying. So like, here's what you could do in that time. Like, and he puts in the juror's head, like, what is more likely, that these two butt dialed and butt answered, and that then they don't, and that wasn't long enough, or perhaps this happened. You tell me what you think is more likely. And even though you don't know for sure that it went the way that, Alan Jackson says it went, that's not enough to convict Brian Higgins or Brian Albert, but it is enough to acquit Karen Reed because it creates reasonable doubt. And I think that's the most important thing there.
Agreed.
But the odd behavior isn't done yet. 5 minutes after that call that we just talked about, Jennifer McCabe is on her phone at her house, Google searching how long it takes for someone to die in the cold. That was at 2:27 a.m. That timeline seems to fit, doesn't it? And it fits a very telling and a very clear story. That search became a focal point of the Commonwealth's entire case. This case was starting to look a lot more like the defense of Jennifer McCabe than anything else. That's probably because there is no innocent explanation for that Google search at 2:27 a.m. None.
Right.
At the end of the day, clearing away all the confusion, the Commonwealth's experts were left with two things that are true. First, neither of their experts could absolutely rule out that Jennifer McCabe made that search at 2:27 a.m. Neither. And second, the only person to use the actual phone model, the actual data, and the actual precise operating system was Rick Green.
Yep.
And he was clear. That search was at or before 2:27 a.m.
That's so important.
Yes,
deleted.
Exactly.
So what else was going on at or around the same time?
Neither of their experts could definitively say that the searches didn't happen.
Yep. The only one that used the correct operating system was Rick Green. He's more reliable, When
all this suspicious activity was happening at the Albert house and the McCabe house. 3 minutes after that search, and 8 minutes after the Albert Higgins 2:22 a.m. call, Brian Loughran drives down the street in his snowplow. And he told you that there is no body laying on the lawn at 34 Fairview at 2:30 in the morning. Importantly, he didn't just simply say he didn't see a body, he wasn't paying attention. He said there was no body there. He knows the property, he knows the owners, he's grown up with these folks, he passes by all the time, not once, not twice, 3 passes. There was nobody on that lawn, period, at 2:30 a.m.
So strong.
And what other suspicious thing happened that night? By 3:30 a.m.,
the Ford Edge.
Someone moved a Ford Edge in front of the very area that would obstruct the view of where John's body would ultimately be discovered. Who's the only person in this case that you've heard about with Ford Edge? Brian Albert.
Colin Albert, too.
Remember, as you're thinking about this, the basement at 34 Fairview is serviced by a bulkhead. It's a quick and convenient door to the backyard. And that backyard is serviced by a side fence. And that side fence is easily accessible to the front yard at the side of the house. Which side of the house? The side where John's body was found.
I just have Microdot's video going through
John's
my
body
head.
was, in fact, now outside.
Which one?
The one where he does the walkthrough of the house.
Oh, yeah, that's such a good video.
Yeah,
With the Adele song in the background.
Yeah, dude,
so
Microdots is just something
Microdots is a shit, man.
Dude's from another planet.
There it is.
Yeah.
With the Alberts and the McCabe, what's happening with Karen? All she knows at this point, think about it, at approximately 2:21, she dropped off John. He walked into 34 Fairview, and that's all she knows. She knows nothing else that was going on. So what was she left to think? He goes in to check the party out, but all of a sudden he's not coming back. He's not responding. Minutes start to pass. 1 minute turns to 2, 2 turns to 10. Where is he? Why isn't he responding? She's sitting in the cold, dark, freezing outside the car. Naturally, she's perturbed. Being perturbed turns into being peeved. Being peeved eventually turns into being pissed. By 12:30, Karen's mad. She's left 34 Fairview to make a point, but she's still texting and calling. What could she reasonably be thinking at this point? What's going through her mind? 12:33 turns into 12:34. I can't believe he'd do this to me. 12:34 turns into 12:35. Where is he? Why aren't you answering, John?
Yeah. See, I love how because he's got to get ahead of it. He has to explain why Karen was acting like a bitch. Like he's got to explain that. Like, here's why she sent those messages. Not because she's a murderer, because she's pissed, man. She's pissed.
Right. No, and the prosecution paints this picture themselves. I mean, Karen Reed, the both of them were clearly insecure in the status of their relationship at the time.
Right.
Karen Reed was in a very vulnerable state due to her physical condition that she was ailing from, and she was afraid John was losing interest and was seeking affection somewhere else. It was her biggest fear, and that's what happened when he wasn't answering his phone. Her mind started racing with the alcohol, and if you listen to the things that she said, calling him a pervert, saying I know what you're doing, blah blah blah, she thinks that he's cheating. The more time that goes by, the more these thoughts escalate. This isn't somebody who just killed somebody.
Right.
This is a person who has no idea what her boyfriend is doing, and she's in panic mode, trying and driving herself crazy with her own imagination.
Right.
That's all.
That's it. That's it, man. You hit the nail on the head.
12:35 turns to 12:36. Jesus Christ. I'm calling and you're not answering. Where are you? Pick up the phone. But there's still no answer. There's still no response. By 12:37, she's getting furious. She does not know that something has happened to John. She does not know that. So she leaves the first angry voicemail. Illustrates frustration, aggravation, all the normal responses anybody might have. You and I might have. But little did she know. The next open voicemail has Karen parking at John's garage after she gets home. You can hear her heels clicking across the garage floor. For all she knows at this point, John's just drunk, he's been partying, he's hanging out, just forgot about her, blowing her off. But John's still not responding, and as the minutes tick by, Karen becomes increasingly upset. Those are the voicemails that you heard. How could he do this? Why is he ignoring me? Why is he ignoring the kids? Those are the thoughts bearing down on Karen Reed as she sat in an empty house late at night by herself. Ladies and gentlemen, she did not know what had happened to John. But within the next voicemail, you quickly learned what she was thinking, what she was feeling. Now it's 5:23 a.m. She's woken up, she's realized that he hasn't come home and he hasn't responded to a single text, not a single call, and anger quickly turns to panic and abject fear. She's so distraught, she reaches out to him again. John, where the fuck are you? She says in tears and desperation. And at 6:03, question was answered and her worst fears are realized when she finds his body laying, dying in the cold in Brian Albert's front yard. You heard her.
She does look like she wants to cry.
You feel the raw anguish. You could see it. You don't have to wonder the emotional journey that Karen traveled that night.
Like, I like the look she has here, and I wish she did it more during the trial. I mean, I'm not going to fault her for her looks or anything during the trial, but I wish she looked like this more like this during the trial. I think it would make her, not that I did think it's like the jury's thinking anything bad about her, but I think that if she looked like this more, the jury would like her a lot more. Not that they don't like her now, but go ahead.
I get what you mean, but I don't feel like it would have been as natural as it is now, because the vibe, the theme most of the time was, we're fucking roasting you on this stand. You know what I mean? So here she is, and she's been prepping for this for so long. A more natural response to the way that her team was defending her. It makes sense that she would have those looks of contempt and those looks of, yeah, motherfucker, you know? But here, this is the first time that she's heard her, her team passionately describe how she possibly felt those, and
right.
I mean,
right.
So it's bringing up memories. Like that's why I feel like it's so genuine. You know?
Like this, it is such a genuine look for her, because usually she looks very confident. And
right.
The haters always point that out. She looks bitchy. This is a very good look that she had here.
Right.
I thought, that so.
Right.
You can see it in the video. You can hear it in the audio. From the time he left her and walked into 34th Fairview and she called, she reached out 53 times. She called him 53 times before finding his body. Think about that. The Commonwealth wants you to believe that she murdered this man. And then after that murder, she called him not once, not twice, 53 times. It makes no sense. What does make sense is that she emotionally moved from anger, then to panic, then to grief. So back at 5:07, when she began her search looking for John, she backed out of the garage, and what would happen next would change the entire course of this case. As she backed out of that garage, she hit John's Traverse and cracked her right rear taillight. Folks, the Commonwealth has one job to do in this courtroom. It's an immutable responsibility to provide you with the truth. That's it. Not to win the case, but to seek justice and to do it through the truth. Ask yourself, did you get that truth from the Commonwealth? The Commonwealth continually tried to tell you that that video showed that the SUV came close to John's Traverse, and it took us showing you the video to unequivocally establish that Karen hit that car and cracked her taillight at 5:07. You can almost hear an audible gasp in the courtroom when we finally showed you the actual video. You can see that tire move.
Yep.
I'm only going to show you one series of exhibits during my entire closing, but it's that important. And it's this. Look at the condition of her taillight when she pulls out of the driveway at 5:07.
Yeah.
That taillight, and I'm going to choose my words very carefully here. That taillight is cracked, but it's not completely damaged.
Exactly.
And if there was any question in your mind about the level of damage to that taillight at 5:07, all doubt was extinguished. When Dighton Police Officer Barrows walked into this courtroom, he's a sworn officer. He's not associated with Canton. He's not associated with the Alberts. He's not associated with the McCabe's. He doesn't know Michael Proctor. In other words, he doesn't answer to any of these folks. He's an outsider and he's completely independent. And his words were the following, quote, "That taillight was not completely damaged. It was cracked. A piece was missing, but not completely damaged."
But not completely
Take a look
damaged.
at this photograph and tell me
It. He was a great witness.
which one looks like
Yeah,
Officer
he was
Barrows'
fantastic.
The one on the left or the one on the right. The reconstructed light on the left is what that light looked like before it was in Trooper Proctor's possession. Remember that. That's what it looked like before Trooper Proctor had access to the SUV. And you have an independent police officer telling you so. You'll recall that after John's body was discovered, Lank, very good friend of the Alberts, walked into Brian Albert's house and had an off-the-record meeting with him. No one's ever going to know exactly what that meeting was about, what they discussed, because that interview, like everything else in this case, it wasn't recorded. It wasn't memorialized. But we do know that shortly thereafter, the Canton Police Department was recused from the matter entirely. And the case was assigned to one Michael Proctor. You have to believe that when the Alberts found that out, they thought they hit the lottery. They thought they hit the lottery.
Yeah.
What are the chances? The department where my brother works, that would have been great to investigate this case, but that department's been recused. That's tough luck. But the guy who catches the case is Michael Proctor, a guy we go back with for decades.
Yeah. How about that?
At such a break, they probably thought, when this is over, we need to get that dude a gift.
And
oh, wait a minute.
I love this line.
They said it.
Yeah, I love that line. I love that line.
But still, you've got to imagine that the Alberts had to be stressed.
They texted
that whole thing about a dead body being on their lawn. That might get some attention. And they had to be wondering, will he set up a crime scene? Is he going to come into the house? Is he going to search the house?
Nah.
Is he going to send in a forensics team? Is he going to interview witnesses? Is he going to take us to the station? Will he take our phones? Will he look at our communications? Will he look at our Google searches? Will he look at our phone calls?
Literally none of this
happened. Look in the basement. And Michael Proctor answered every single one of those questions resoundingly.
Nope.
He's a Boston cop too.
He's a Boston cop.
Yeah.
And with that, Michael Proctor didn't draw a thin blue line. He erected a tall blue wall.
Wow. Oh, what a line that was. What a line.
A wall that Karen Reed certainly couldn't get over.
What a line.
A wall between us
couldn't
and
get
them.
over.
A place you folks are not invited. We protect our own. It's us or it's them. And by the way, who's she after all?
Who's she?
Nobody.
The girl.
Outsider. This is going to be easy. Or so they thought. Let's look at what Michael Proctor actually did and did not do in this case. One of the consistent issues that's come up throughout this trial is how evidence always seems to be changing and evolving when in Michael Proctor's hands or somebody in his orbit. If it happens once, let's chalk it up to a mistake. Twice, it's starting to look a little bit like incompetence. If that happens every single time, it becomes intentional. Which means it becomes corruption.
Right.
The defense spent some time, we spent some time discussing the tow time that Michael Proctor swore to in affidavits. There was a reason that we believed it was so important. And I want to talk about that for just a quick second. Because this was a concerted effort by Michael Proctor to falsify the time the car was seized so that no one would know that he actually had possession of the car before the first pieces of taillight were ever discovered at the scene. But he got caught. And when he did, the best he could come up with was it was a typo.
Scrivener's error.
Like a dozen times, a typo. You'll remember what that testimony was. The truth is that car was in Michael Proctor's possession from about 4:12 in the afternoon. He said it was 4:16. And he finally had to tell the truth or some version of the truth. Those first pieces of taillight were not found until after 5:45 p.m.
Right.
That is the very fact that Michael Proctor had to hide human beings from and from us.
Oh, I know. Here's the line. I love this line.
Until 5:30. But that wasn't Michael Proctor's only manipulation of the investigation. What about Brian Lockridge? You met him. Michael Proctor did his level best to not just hide evidence, but to hide human beings from you.
He didn't just hide evidence. He hid human beings. And that is such an underrated part. And that's what I said on News Nation with Dan Abrams tonight. I was like, it's not just what he did do, it's what he didn't do. It's how he didn't look for Lucky Loughran. It's how he didn't look for Colin Albert. It's how Caitlin Albert, Brian Albert Jr., Sarah Levinson, Julie Nagel, all these people who were in that house were never questioned until months later. And Julie Nagel had the Black Blob story, like 9 months later. None of these people were questioned. And why? Because the more people you involve in a conspiracy, the more people that can fuck it up. It's just that simple. You control it when it's just you and the McCabe's, and that's it. And Higgins, and the five of you guys just say the same shit. Like Brian Albert Jr. would fuck it up. He'd get up there and be like, "Oh yeah, there was like a wicked bad like bang last night, and there was like I don't know. Then my auntie JJ came over, and then my auntie JJ like fixed everything. So like yeah, and he'd fuck it up. One of them would fuck it up, and they weren't gonna trust their freedom on these like 23-year-olds. And so like people always point out, they're always like, well, how could you have this conspiracy with all these people, turtle fucker? Like, how could you have all? There wasn't that many people. That was the whole point. Is that they eliminated the people.
There's also the perspective. You could also say, okay, well, yeah, because how can you have so many people? You can't have a successful conspiracy with too many people. It's not realistic. The chances of that, I hear that all the time. And then I'm like, but think about it. It wasn't a good cover up, was it? Because here we are.
Right.
So they didn't cover it up very well.
It was good for a while. Yeah. I mean,
So, I mean, right now, I mean, it took some doing, but once you realize how sloppy they were, I actually spoke to Jackson about this personally. We came back from lunch and I was like, what do you think? Why are they for such a, what was the word that I used for such an elaborate conspiracy? It was certainly sloppy. Why is that? And he was just like, they're power drunk. They all just, I figure it's just power.
Cockiness. They come to court. They do shit.
They
like
never
did today.
expected anyone to question.
You know,
them.
like that's the kind of shit. Oh, and I got the video, guys. By the way, I'm gonna play the video here now that I come to it. Now that I finally got it, of them entering. Speaking of how cocky they are, let me play this video of them coming. I haven't watched this whole thing yet, but
yeah, look at this. A fucking like. It's like Biden's coming through there.
I mean, it's amazing. Why do they get like you can't?
Like, it's a bicycle motorcade, bro. What?
As long as it's not harassment, you have a fucking right to stand in a parking lot and film. Like
right.
Like they're royalty. Do not say anything. You can say whatever you want to them.
Right. Yeah, like these are goons.
Country. Yeah.
Yeah, they're hired goons. Look at them. It's so bizarre. It's just some of the worst people I've ever seen, you know.
This is the buffer zone. Get going. Like, what the fuck does that mean? This is the buffer zone. Get going. Where does it say in the buffer zone you can't film? Did I miss that one?
Who's got the camera?
I don't know. Doesn't matter. But it's like,
I'm just curious. That's
like where in the buffer zone did it say you can't film? Did I miss that part? You'd say you can't post. It doesn't say about anything you can't film.
Right.
Like did I miss that? Like, I mean, just look at this power hungry drunk. Look at this fucking guy. You're in the buffer zone. Get out.
Yeah.
Does that guy have a badge?
Yeah.
I see this guy everywhere. He's inside. Look at him fucking showing his badge. Fuck you. I see this guy every day. I'm gonna be like, who the fuck? Like, I'm gonna interview him. Like, so can you tell me, sir, like, why did you fucking flash your badge and tell people they can't film in public? Like, what makes you think that you have that right?
Dude, he's straight out of the Sabotage video from the Beastie Boys. Look at him. Like,
I know.
It's so weird how exaggerated and cliche he looks.
Look at him reaching for his fucking badge.
If you're going to be on TV.
Lock and load.
Look at Kerry Roberts.
Okay. I'll see you on the street.
Fucking pigs. Oh my God. Look at this escort that these cop killers get.
I know. It's insane. Escorted by cops.
Yeah.
And like itching to violate somebody's rights. You know what I mean? Like just itching to do it. It's so bizarre. Like they're just like, yeah, stand back. You're in the buffer zone. Back it up.
Right. Back it up. You're in the buffer zone. Like that's fucking assholes.
Move it, buddy. Move it.
I was informed that the plow drivers were out that night. There would be a witness, potentially along 34 Fairview, at the exact times in question. Even Michael Trotta expressly told Michael Proctor that 34 Fairview had in fact been plowed that morning, and by whom. Proctor not only did not interview Brian Loughran, he never disclosed his name in a single report. He hid it. This is a witness who was literally on 34 Fairview at the time in question where a body was found on the lawn. Wouldn't you want to get the truth from an eyewitness? Wouldn't you want to seek that out? Not if you're Michael Proctor, a close friend of the Alamos. If it were up to Proctor, you literally never would have heard of or from Brian Loughran. That's a scary prospect. I want to touch briefly on the additional physical evidence or some additional physical evidence presented by the Commonwealth in this case. You'll recall Christina Hanley. She established to a scientific certainty that the glass on the bumper, which was told to you in opening statement, was going to have something to do with this case. The glass on the bumper was going to match that cocktail glass. She told you unequivocally the glass on the bumper did not match the cocktail glass. They came from two different sources. The glass on the bumper has nothing to do with the cocktail glass. So that glass on the bumper had to get there somehow. It didn't get there by being broken from the cocktail glass. And the point, it had to get on the bumper somehow. It didn't jump up there by itself.
If they could place that,
and what's
they
really
could place
interesting
anything.
Is that there was one piece on the bumper, only one, that matched something else in the case. It was a perfect match to a piece of glass that was supposedly found at the scene. Who do you think had possession of that matching glass? Michael Proctor. So the glass on the bumper was there. The only person who had anything close to matching the pieces that had to be placed there is Michael Proctor. You do the math. That leads us to the magic hair. The Commonwealth spent a lot of time bringing in experts about mitochondrial DNA, maternal DNA.
The magic hair. That's powerful.
Really great neuroscience, except for the fact that it just doesn't matter. Why? Because you would have to believe that that little hair, tiny, tiny little hair, barely perched on the side of that SUV through survived nearly 75 miles of a raging blizzard outside. That would be a magic hair indeed. A magic hair means nothing. The DNA means nothing, and that's because the hair was from somewhere else. It certainly was not from a motor vehicle incident at 34th Fairview on January 29th. That hair was placed there. The DNA on the outside of the taillight housing also merits very little discussion. John's DNA would be expected to be found all over that SUV, inside, outside, the exterior, the interior, everything he touched would have had his DNA on it. Here's what the actual.
It's his girlfriend's car.
DNA. No DNA was found on the interior of that taillight. The taillight that they now claim crashed into his arm and shattered. No blood was found anywhere on that taillight or any taillight pieces. No tissue was found anywhere on that taillight or any taillight pieces.
Yeah.
But we're to believe that that taillight literally exploded on John's arm at 25 miles an hour.
Exploded.
With 1,000 pounds of pressure. We talked about the evidence doing very funny things when in Proctor's possession or the possession of somebody in his orbit. Now think about the videos that we saw. How many videos appear to be somehow manipulated or altered? Just about every single one of them. Look at the video of the Sally port. Let's take that one for example. That grainy one. It's missing the exact time that would show the condition of the taillight when it was pulled in to the Sally port.
They're all fucked
Pretty
with.
important time, don't you think? Did someone not want you to see what the condition of the taillight was at that exact time? But the good news is there's a second video. It's much clearer. It's from the same time frame. We didn't get that one for about 2.5 years into the investigation. Literally, it was after the trial started that that one was turned over. And this is important. The Commonwealth introduced you to a person by the name of Bury Buchanan. They presented video showing what was clearly the right side of the car. They asked questions about the right side of the car. You'll recall, Mr. Lally asked Sergeant Buchanan.
Yeah, they
into
said
the
that.
microphone, stared at you and said, never. We never went anywhere around that taillight.
Yeah.
While he was showing you the right side of the car.
Yeah.
And that trick might have worked until we got out to cross-examine him. And only then, on the second day of his testimony, did he have to admit that the video was actually inverted.
Yeah.
It was backwards.
Oops.
And it was cleverly inverted that the timestamp had the proper orientation, which means that timestamp had to be removed, the video inverted, and the timestamp placed back on it. Which means that was done intentionally. That was not a mistake. And when caught in that obvious fabrication, Buchanan doubled down and said, it's exactly the same. You remember that back. It's exactly the same, he said. As if we're still in one. Is it exactly the same? Or is it exactly opposite? Ladies and gentlemen, you were lied to. There's no other way to say it. It's inexcusable.
It's just so much shit.
Right.
Like, he couldn't even fit it all into an hour. All you need to know is that, like, he couldn't fit it all into an hour, all the shit he wanted to say. He didn't even mention Colin Albert's name in his entire oration. And he just had to be like micro machines, like get it all out so fast. That's how much shit, that's how much evidence there is of a conspiracy. And Adam Lally had so little to say that he had to talk about shoes on in the house and Marietta Sullivan. Like, that's how little they had to work with.
I
like,
said this before, but I'm sure you'll agree with me. At this point, if you believe that Karen Reed is guilty after hearing testimony and hearing that closing argument, you are nothing less than a blithering fucking idiot. You have to be.
Right.
Everybody has the right to opinion. No, that's you're dumb.
Yes.
You're dumb.
Yes.
You're stupid.
Thank you. Yes. And I would say you can't drive, vote, like certain rights should be taken away from you because you're a danger to society. Like, you are, if you believe you're that stupid, like, you can, there's certain things you can do. Like, you have rights, like you can wear a helmet places and you know what I mean? Like
a runner with scissors at all
times.
Yeah.
You can have your own division of the race, I guess, but you don't with everyone else. You don't, man. You don't.
No,
you're just stupid.
Right.
My God. Yeah. All right.
Well, it's abhorrent, but it's also a paradigm of everything that the investigators have been willing to do in this case: lie, obfuscate, manipulate, alter. And when they're caught, they just excuse it away. Doesn't matter. It's the same thing. What's the big deal? Just look the other way.
Totally.
And don't forget, Buchanan is Proctor's supervisor, and he was in that little group chat where Karen Reed's naked photos were being searched for. You know the saying about the apple falling from the tree. Ladies and gentlemen, we haven't even started talking about the taillight yet. You'll recall that at the very beginning of this case, you were introduced to no fewer than 5 CPD officers very early on who searched the scene. None of them, not a single one, found any taillight material at the scene. 0. Stephen Seraph, Sean Good, Stephen Mulaney, Michael Lang, Paul Gallagher, they were all there. They were all walking right around there. They were all looking. They were searching with their eyes. They were searching with their hands. Some said they were searching with their feet. They even used tools. A leaf blower. Not one piece of bright red taillight material was at the scene. Not a single piece. But incredibly, over the course of the next 3 weeks, according to Michael Proctor, 47 pieces of taillight material would end up being found. Some of which were the size of a salad plate.
Salad plate, yeah.
The search team shows up later.
I said Australia, but salad plate is more accurate.
Here's some interesting testimony you heard. Who else was there? Who did O'Hara say was there? Well, he said his team was there. He certainly expected that. But then he said there were others.
Tully.
These other mysterious
Oh, yeah,
some from Canton PD, some from the Massachusetts State Police that he could not account for.
Yeah, what's going on there?
Heavy coats, big masks, hats. Even Lieutenant O'Hara could not tell who was who, but he did note Canton police officers were there who were unaccounted for. Massachusetts State troopers were there unaccounted for. And during that search that was overseen by Trooper Tully, Proctor's supervisor, 3 pieces of taillight material were found. That's super important. I want to concentrate on that for a second. O'Hara said all 3 pieces were in an area about 12 inches square. That's an area about as big as your dinner plate. Tully, however, claimed that 1 red piece was found about 3 feet away from that was a shoe. About 1 to 2 feet from that was a clear piece of plastic, and a few feet away from that was a red piece of plastic. So we have red, clear, and red over the span of about, added up probably 10 or 12 feet. Ladies and gentlemen, both of those things cannot be true. Somebody is taking liberties with the facts. Then Lieutenant Tully comes to court and makes this big grand gesture of opening all these evidence bags. These 2 evidence bags in particular represent exactly what we're talking about. Those 3 pieces, red, clear, red. They're marked, they're sealed, they look official. They're not stop and shop bags, thank God. At least they moved up from that.
Missed that line.
Who knew? It's evidence tape around here. So this must be real evidence, right? It must be real evidence in this case. And after making that big theatrical display, he opens up the bag with the red pieces and he pulls 2 pieces out. That's okay. Put the 2 red pieces together. But so far, then he opens up the second bag under Mr. Lally's questioning. And you remember he hesitated just a second. Opened that bag and pulled out 1 piece of clear plastic. Then pulled out a second piece of clear plastic. With no explanation as to how that could have possibly happened. And he quickly returned all 4 of those back into the bag, sealed them up, and we're done for the day. The next day, I asked about that evidence again. I asked him to open up that bag with the red pieces. And he did the same thing. Pulled out 2 red pieces of plastic. I said, you recall this. I said, look deeper. Look closer, sir. Pull everything out of that bag. Would he have had I not suggested it? And then he pulled a 3rd piece of red plastic out of the bag. So miraculously, those 3 pieces of plastic became 5 pieces of plastic right before your eyes.
Like a rabbit out of a hat.
Ladies and gentlemen, the forces at play that multiplied those pieces of plastic inside those evidence bags are the same forces at play that multiplied the pieces of plastic at 34 Fairview. Think about that. Let that sink in for a second. How easy is it? That's not sloppiness. That's evidence manipulation. That's how over the course of 3 weeks, those pieces of plastic go from 0 to 3 to 5 to 47. Ever increasing in size with every single search. Now, knowing all that, ask yourself the looming question: who had access to that taillight, the cracked taillight? Who was it? Go back and watch the Sally Port video. I'll give you the timestamp, 5:37, and see it for yourself. We know that Trooper Proctor, with binder in hand, walked by himself. Once we corrected the video from being inverted, you can see that he walked back by himself to the right rear taillight where nobody could see what he was doing. Unidentified troopers and Canton cops were at the search at 34 Fairview.
Yeah, who was there?
How hard is it to drop a piece of plastic?
Not that
We
hard.
spent a long time talking about the compromised and altered and tampered and manipulated evidence. Now I want to switch and talk a little bit about the true facts in this case, because you did hear some true evidence and true facts. The Commonwealth presented about 67, maybe more, witnesses, and expended 30 plus days of trial and 9 weeks of your life. Maybe we're in the 10th week. For what? It should be relatively simple, right? The Commonwealth claims that Karen, we pulled up to 34 Fairview, John got out of the car, she reversed into him and hit him, and then she drove home. That's 4 facts. Just 4 facts. That's all it is. What evidence do they actually have to prove that that SUV ever hit John? The answer is none. They don't have any. There's no evidence whatsoever that Karen Reed's vehicle ever struck John O'Keefe, or that Karen Reed ever wanted to strike John O'Keefe.
Right.
In fact, every single piece of material evidence in this case unequivocally proves the opposite. John went into that house. That SUV was not damaged by hitting John, and John's injuries did not come from being hit by a car. That's what the evidence actually shows. The Commonwealth knows that, and they've known it for a long time, and Proctor knows that.
Exactly.
Because of that, the Commonwealth just resorts to character assassination and talking for weeks on end about the snow. Let's talk about what the real evidence actually shows unassailable science.
I didn't catch it the first time either.
Good line. It's
Concerning John's injuries first. The Commonwealth's own medical examiner, Dr. Scorti-Bello, could
They
not
read the
conclude that
room.
John was hit by a car.
They
Think
watched
about
all
that.
the YouTube
She
channels, looked at the
it's a homicide.
chest.
She told you without any dispute in this case, quote, evidence pointing toward one manner of death is no more compelling than evidence of a competing manner of death. End quote. Her words, not mine.
Her words, not mine. Let's go.
She went on to say it's just as likely that he was punched and fell backward. His injuries are consistent with that. In fact, in her expert opinion, his injuries are consistent with a physical altercation, as she testified, but they are not, in her words, not classical injuries from an auto pedestrian accident. That by itself is reasonable doubt. But the evidence and the truth goes far further. We introduced you to not 1, but 2 thoroughly credentialed medical examiners from medical experts, Dr. Sheridan and Dr. Russell, both of whom said John's arm injury is consistent with an animal attack. Dr. Russell studied, diagnosed, and treated up to 1,000 animal wounds. She's an expert in animal wounds, and she was unequivocal. Those wounds are from an animal, likely a large dog.
Likely.
Which means that John was attacked inside the home where Chloe was. There is no other possibility. And Dr. Sheridan, for his part, with thousands of 13,000 autopsies under his belt, decades of experience as the chief medical examiner who's triple credentialed in anatomical, forensics, and neuropathology, he told you that John's injuries are inconsistent with a motor vehicle accident or incident. They're consistent, however, with a physical altercation. In layman's terms, the science proves John was beaten. That also is reasonable doubt and should end this case. But the facts and evidence don't stop there. 2 of the most highly educated and highly qualified engineers you'll ever meet, Dr. Dan Wolf and Dr. Andrew Winchler, mechanical engineer,
Yes, they were so good.
They reviewed
So
this case. They did testing. They evaluated the case scientifically.
Yes.
They were not hired by the defense, not by the Commonwealth. They're completely 100% independent of any party in this case. And they were equally available, by the way, to the Commonwealth.
Yeah,
they could have called them.
Yep.
And I feel like the jury, I don't know, because I only looked at them. You know what I mean? I caught some of the reactions, but I want to believe so bad that they're smart enough to ask the question in deliberation, like, okay, so who hired them then?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like okay, what entity hired them? And why are they, if they're just independently, not because they took an interest like Dr. Russell, but independently, and there was an entity that they keep mentioning that hired them. What is that entity? Why are they interested in the Karen Reed and John O'Keefe? Why are they asking questions? Why are they conducting an investigation? Why are these highly qualified experts hired by a mysterious entity to find out and get to the bottom as to what happened, and they weren't hired by the defense?
What is this? What is this other hearing that people testified that people keep talking about that we can't know what it was? Like, what is that thing? And there's just a lot of that. I would hope that they put it together.
Right.
I would hope, but.
Right. I mean, Ryan Nagel did say that one time. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Ryan
that's right.
Nagel did bring up the fence the one time. So there is that chance that seed was planted.
There's
that chance. I mean, it's a long shot, but
that he did mention it. That was very true. I forgot about that. There's been so much that's happened. It's like I've forgotten a good chunk.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too.
This reads SUV, and the SUV was not damaged by coming in contact with John O'Keefe's body. That should end the inquiry right there. Both sides of the equation. From a physics, engineering, and biomechanical standpoint, they established that John O'Keefe was not struck by Karen Reed's vehicle, period. And that is yet another fact that establishes reasonable doubt and should put it into this case. So instead of calling the ARCA experts, which they had available to them, the Commonwealth chose to introduce you to Trooper Joe Paul to remember his testimony. I think I'm being kind when I say that Trooper Paul's analysis lacked credibility.
You're being kind.
Trooper Paul lacks the experience, the education, the training, the background, and the knowledge to not only render opinions on these issues, but to even understand the issues themselves. He makes the absurd claim that John was hit on the elbow area of his arm by a taillight, he was spun to the left in a pirouette, his arm stayed on the light long enough for the shards of plastic to explode around him, scratching his arm even though he was wearing long sleeves, then projecting him 30 feet to the left, but not before making a stop to hit his head on either the curb or the pavement, before coming to his final resting place with his unbroken phone tucked neatly under his body.
That's almost funnier than Plevin's first video.
I know.
Dr. Dan Wolf and Dr. Andrew Richards.
It is funny how Plevin didn't have a beef with that. And now Plevin's just like, okay, I was wrong. I'm going with I assume that's what he's done, right? It's just been like the cop theory.
Because his whole thing is we have to listen to the experts. It's going to be a battle of the experts.
Yeah.
And then so they get a fucking expert, and this dude is the expert, and so he's got nothing to hang his hat on except Trooper Paul. I mean, Mr. fucking what discipline of science?
Community college.
What particular discipline of science is applied to do to perform these recreations and reconstructions of this accident? And he goes, and me, who didn't even get this far in high school, I go, physics, dude, and he goes, math, and like, dude, I'm like, oh my god, like this guy's dumber than me. That's insane. And he's like, he's in charge of like getting the data involved in like putting together a recreation of this crime of a homicide of a police officer. This is insane. What planet am I on right now?
Oh, it's so true.
Both PhDs in engineering, both top of their field in accident reconstruction, both published peer review articles on the issues. Both men are highly sought after by the likes of national sports leagues and the United States Department of Defense. And these men are unrivaled in accident reconstruction. What did Dr. Rinchler say before he left the stand? This was even under cross-examination. He said that the physics and the science don't lie. His words were, you can't deny the science and the physics. John wasn't hit by that car, period.
Right.
The Commonwealth cannot explain John O'Keefe's injuries. They can't explain his head wound. How did he get the head wound if he landed on snow-covered grass and dirt? And by the way, before Mr. Lally gets up and says it, because I know he's going to, there is zero evidence before you, zero, that cold grass and dirt turns into ice or turns into concrete. Zero. They can't explain the injury above his right eye, that laceration. They can't explain his nose. They haven't even tried to. They can't explain the injury to his tongue, the laceration on his tongue. They cannot explain the injuries to the back of his hands, the bruises, and certainly they cannot explain the injuries to his right arm. But maybe most importantly, they cannot and haven't even tried to explain the lack of injuries on John's body from the neck down. Nothing. He was pristine. Not a bump, not a bruise, not a fracture, not a broken bone. Nothing to suggest that he was hit by a 7,000-pound SUV going 25 miles per hour. And what of that right arm? According to the Commonwealth's best and brightest, Trooper Paul, John was the entirety of the collision.
I love that. According to the Commonwealth's best and brightest,
got him.
It's the little things that we.
Totally.
That 3.5
Jackson is the king of the little jabs.
Yeah,
it's
launching
great.
him some 30 feet. But amazingly, the arm suffered no break, no fracture, and didn't even get a bruise. So how are those injuries properly explained? The evidence is simple. John got into an altercation. He was punched. He tried to defend himself by putting his hands up. He maybe even scratched his own nose by putting his hands in front of his face to defend himself. His hands were bruised and covering up.
5 minutes, Mr. Jackson.
5 minutes.
Thank you, Your Honor. As he continued, he got hit, punch went through, and he fell to the ground, fracturing his skull. At some point during that altercation, the dog got hold of him, and the dog was pulled away. Every single injury is answered. Every single injury is explained by that. Ladies and gentlemen, given what we know about the facts and the physical evidence in this case, the actual truth in this case, how did this happen? How did we end up here? We ended up here because of relationships, insider trading, playing the who you know game, and building a tall blue wall, which takes decades and generations. But the real question is it going to continue? With this festering malignancy that allows a lead detective and a supervisor to gloat and sneer while looking over naked pictures or looking for naked pictures of the woman that they've targeted, will that continue? And the answer should be, not if you have anything to say about it. Michael Proctor is the lead investigator in this case, and much as the Commonwealth might try, they cannot distance themselves from the stench of him on this case and this investigation. Those secret group chats illustrate the quality and character of his investigation. Remind yourself how, quote, unbiased and an objective investigator, someone who's supposed to be looking for facts. Ask yourself, how did he approach his job? Late at night, sitting there in his office, deviously looking for naked pictures of Kearney and talking about her like she's a piece of meat.
Yeah.
Talking about her bodily functions, her medical conditions, calling her vile names. I don't even have it in me to repeat what he said about her. He reduced her to an object and went further by insulting her.
Yes.
He went further than insulting her and dehumanized her.
Yes.
And when he was done betraying that very humanity, he wished for her to commit suicide. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how you frame someone. That's how you dehumanize someone so viciously that you can just pin it on the girl and cover for the homeowner because he's a Boston cop. That's how you rip a person's life apart and sleep like a baby while doing it.
Yeah, and sleep like
and
a
further
baby.
that by saying, I hope she kills herself. Ladies and gentlemen, I just began the discussion this afternoon or this morning with a quote about the truth, and I did that because that's what this case is about, top to bottom, tip to tail. It's about the truth, not hiding it or concealing it, but exposing the truth. The truth is immutable. It's not a feeling, it's not a whim. It's unflinching, it's unchanging, and it's everlasting. That's why the law is steady. That's why it's not captive to the whims of people drunk with power who think they're above the law, who think they're above scrutiny. That's why you stand as the guardian of justice and the protector of justice.
Guardian.
The law demands the
Love
very
it.
integrity that Trooper Proctor and his investigation lacks, and it requires that you cannot convict Karen Reed unless the Commonwealth has met its incredibly high burden to prove every element beyond a
Nice.
reasonable doubt and to a moral certainty.
my bad.
A moral certainty is
I love
defined
it.
as the
I
highest
love it.
degree of certainty possible in matters related to human affairs. It's the highest degree possible in your life. That's the level of certainty. And I'll leave you with this. You have the most powerful tool known to American jurisprudence because you have your vote. No one can take that away from you. Not me, not the Commonwealth, not the court.
Exactly.
You may not have asked to be here, but each of you have given something very special of yourselves. You've agreed to do that, which is the highest calling a citizen can answer in any way. You've agreed to give your community your best. And my question to you is, what will you do with this moment?
What will you
Ignore the
do?
lies, the manipulations, the misogyny, the bias, the lack of evidence. Could you ever do that? Would you ever do that? Or will you stay with your verdict? I see the truth, and I will not ever look the other way. When you stare the truth down, you'll see that the Commonwealth has not proven its case beyond a reasonable doubt into a moral certainty, not even close. Ladies and gentlemen, Karen Reed is innocent. Do justice and find her not guilty. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jackson.
What an amazing, like I literally wanted when he said that.
Lally.
Look at them talking. See them talking? Like, look at them talking. Lally's got this. Lally's got this.
This fucking guy.
This fucking guy. I mean, that was a beautiful. I wanted to stand up and clap when I heard that shit, man. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, thank you. That was fucking amazing. What a speech that was. Couldn't have done it any better.
I would have looked. What did the jury look like when he was saying
Hooked
that?
on his every word? You know what I mean? Because some of them are to his right, some are to his left, and they're just all staring at him the whole time. And then there's when Lally gets up there, it's very different. There's juror number 8, this Asian guy that probably doesn't like Matt McCabe. Juror number 8 is there, and bro, he was. I almost called 911. I thought he was in a coma. His hands were like this the whole time.
That's really funny because I know the dude you're talking about, and he.
Oh yeah,
was,
you've been in there. Yeah.
He was
Older
engaged,
looking
taking
fella.
notes when I was in there. He was totally engaged, taking notes when I was in there. But I feel like, I mean, that was what, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
So
I mean,
I got a tip on a couple of these jurors. I will say one thing. One of them is a cop, former cop.
Oh wow,
former cop.
Okay.
Former Westwood police officer. Westwood is a town in Norfolk County. It's next to, I think it's in between Dedham and Norwood. And former cop, though I'm not sure where that stands. Another one has a DUI. Somebody else on the jury has a DUI, I found out. So I know I've got to narrow down to one of the two that has it. So that's interesting that they picked somebody who has a DUI. So we'll find out all after, but yeah. Let me read guys some turtle chats here. I got a few to bang through here. Shelly says, sends 10 and says nervous because juries can be unpredictable. but still unwavering in the belief of Karen Reed's innocence. I mean, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit like, not nervous, but like, bro, it's nerve wracking. You know what I mean? Like, and I can imagine.
Sure.
I tell you one thing, like the day before I had my dangerousness hearing on March 14th, and I knew that, you know, they were going to try to send me back to jail. Dude, that was the most nerve-wracking 20 days.
Right, because there's the chance that it could happen. Like, you don't know if they're going to pull some shit out and that
it's beyond my control. It's beyond my control. It's beyond Bradle's control. It's up to some stranger who gets to decide my freedom. Like, this other judge sent me to fucking jail over bullshit. Like, what if this judge does the same thing? What if he believes her? This nonsense, you know? Like, what then? And I was
when
facing
you found
60.
out there was a bolo on you. Tell me you weren't like,
oh, that,
what
yeah.
the fuck is this?
I'm talking about when they wanted to send me back on March 14th, and
Right.
like I couldn't sleep, man. It sucked. I'm like, and I was facing 60 days. Karen Reed knows there's a 99.9% chance that she's walking free, like no problem. They're going to be, I mean, one of the most innocent people ever in the history of law and order. But like, it's until it's done. There's that 0.1% chance, and she's not facing 60 days. She's facing life, brother. You know, it's like, I can imagine. Like,
it's her life. She's fighting for her life.
How does she sleep tonight? Like, how does she go to sleep?
I mean, I get the vibe that it's, you know, a mixture of both excitement, but also just the anxiety of wanting to get it over, wanting it to be over so bad. It's so close. You can fucking taste it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, she's there every single day. She's there taking notes. She's there catching people on lies and informing her attorney. She's engaged in every single moment that I noticed. And I mean, this has got to be exhausting for her. And her family is the same way. Their father is all business, dude. Bill is all business, like the whole time, just straight focus.
Yes, he
Wild.
is. Yeah, her family is so into this case. They know it better than I talked to them. They're so nervous, you know, and so I can imagine how. I mean, this is affecting them. So
and yet, so pleasant natured. Like, all of them.
It's going to be a great thing. It's going to be a great thing when she's found not guilty. It's just, I'm going to be very happy for them personally, but I'm also looking forward to outside and how happy, like, so many people are going to be so happy as a result of this. And so many shitty people are going to be unhappy, which is even better. Like, in some ways, like think about a world in which you hear Karen Reed guilty and how happy that will make the worst people in the world. Like, that would be fucking horrible. So it has to, it's going to be one or the other. It can't be this, you know, split down the middle thing. Like, people are asking what the charges are. The charges are
what middle? You know what I mean? Like,
second-degree murder. There's also manslaughter while operating under the influence of alcohol and leaving a scene of personal injury and death. Either she hit him or she didn't. You can't convict one of those. Like, it's either all three. If they believe that she hit him with the car, they could theoretically do 2 or 3. If they believe she didn't hit him, you can't convict any. Period.
Right. There's no way that anybody who was intelligent enough to be selected for that jury is going to not have an overwhelming amount of doubt when they have to sit there and ask themselves, did Karen Reed hit John O'Keefe with her SUV?
Right.
There's no way. It's not possible, because of every single thing is screaming with doubt.
Right.
Every single thing about this case, everything that Jackson laid out in his closing argument right there was absolutely true and verifiable.
Yes.
So there's nothing. There's no way that you can be of sound mind and be qualified to be chosen on any jury in a murder trial and not see that there is nothing but doubt. Not only too much doubt to ignore, but nothing but doubt.
Right. So we got $100 here. Geez, from Julie from Oz says, "Hi Doc, love what you do. Congratulations on your fearless reporting and seeing the results of it. Can't wait for the not guilty verdict tomorrow and then clearing your bullshit charges. Just another turtle to cheering you on. I know, Joe, I'm looking forward to that so much. Is just getting past this, and then I can deal with, oh yeah, I have a bunch of felonies too that I need to, figure out. So I appreciate that. Tiggs from the Cape since 10 and says, hey Doc, love the vids. Hopefully the right ones. Karen Reed is not fucking guilty. Absolutely, Tiggs. Thank you. Josephine sends 5 and says, who walked in when Brian Albert sighed and rolled his eyes? You were behind him. Yeah, I'm not sure. Also, Ratchet Madness. I know I have to do it. I know. I'm sorry. We'll get on that. Thank you very much. I didn't see when that happened, Josephine. So
you couldn't see his eyes roll. I mean, you were behind.
Right. That's true. LC sends 10 and goes, hey, doctor, keep up the great work. Sending you out positive vibes for Karen tomorrow. Can we get a Holden shout out? Oh, shout out to my fellow homie from Holden, Massachusetts. Thank you, LC. Diane G sends $20 and says the O'Keefes might as well have invited Higgins today. I know. I bet they tried. Good grief. Love your reporting. Thank you. Amy sends 25 and says the whole movement is because of you. Thank you for all the obvious reasons. And I'll tell you one thing, Amy, when I was going through that crowd today, man, I felt nothing but love from the people out there. Nothing but love. It is a great feeling just to see all these fine people that we've, put together, whatever.
It's fascinating to me. Like before even getting to how privileged I feel, but it's fascinating to see so many people feel so strongly about something and behave with so much class, and with so much patience, but totally sticking to the whole ain't got no quit mantra and really living up to it while, okay, well, you're going to put a buffer zone. We'll comply with your buffer zone. That's fine. Right. Whatever you want us to do. Right. Just and a lot of it is just to prove the trolls wrong. Like those people are crazy and they're insane and they're angry. And showing up there and meeting everyone, I've never felt a more positive, I don't want to say vibe because it's an understatement. A more just the overall theme was just positivity, support. Right. Each person had each other's back. I was welcomed right away. And it was overwhelming and I wasn't used to it, but it was overwhelmingly pleasant, and it took a minute to process because I'd never been a part of anything like that before. And
it's something special, man. It's
incredibly grateful. Yeah, incredibly grateful.
Lisa sends $25 and says, you and Meredith are a match made in heaven. Can us Foxborough girls be bridesmaids at the wedding? One step at a time, but I appreciate that. And she's pretty fucking cool, man. She's down at, as well as I call him, a down ass hoe, as I would call it. You know what I mean? Partner in crime. So she's a great chick. I love her. Next one is from Aaron, sends $25 and says, I forgot to say, I love Christine, free Karen Reed, not guilty. Charlestown will represent tomorrow in her Lily Pulitzer best. Okay. Thank you very much, Aaron. I appreciate that very much. Okay. Next one. And by the way, I love how Alex pointed this out too. I did not know this. This is how dedicated the trolls are. They've already made a hit piece video of me earlier calling Peggy O'Keefe bad names, and they
already this live isn't even over with. This is amazing.
But it's just like, and I want to reiterate, I meant every fucking word I said. And tomorrow, Karen Reed's gonna be not guilty, and your fucking stupid video isn't gonna matter. So there's that. And yeah, Peggy O'Keefe can go fuck herself, and don't forget to edit that part in. She can go fuck herself. A miserable skag. Okay, next up. Megan sends $10 and says, love your work. Curious how you first heard of and got involved in the Karen Reed case. April 18th, 2023. How Long to Die in Cold, part 1 of the Can't Cover Up series. Thank you, Megan. Caesar sends 5 and says, you take journalism to the next level. Fearless and bold. Thank you, Caesar. Semelina sends $15 and says, I am sure Ellie 98482, who is at Ellie May 1999 on Twitter, is not Julie Nagel, but rather Carrie Roberts. She only tweeted during court time breaks today, and it is said Ellie is a nickname for her daughter. That's interesting. Yeah, everybody thought the Ellie May account was Juliana Nagel, but Semolina is one of these people who's on Twitter and is good at identifying trolls. And so I think that's definitely a possibility. So thank you for that one, Sema. Next one, Nancy sends $10 and says, closing arguments, the McAlbert Mafia in the house. What a joke. Turtle Boy, have you heard the FBI has sealed indictments they're holding on to after trial? No, that's definitely, I'm pretty sure not true. They would not do that. Also, Kevin called Sean on air and said he spoke to the tow truck driver who said he was never in the Sally port. Okay.
Yeah. That's what Sean was saying, is that somebody told him, a reliable source told him that they spoke to the tow truck driver and that the tow truck driver never drove Karen's car.
So who is that guy in the picture?
Right. That's the whole thing, is we don't know, but it wasn't the tow truck driver.
Interesting.
Is what Sean was saying.
The tow truck driver was never called as a witness, though.
Right. I mean, it doesn't matter at this point,
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of unanswered questions, like things that aren't necessary. Because I mean, obviously Jackson, Yannetti, Little, they have this, but I wanted to know about the 3 liters of blood. I wanted to know about. I wanted them to address the shoes. The shoe in the picture, I'm telling you, the shoe in the picture has a black sole. That's in the snow with an evidence tag next to it. It has a black sole. The shoes that they pulled up in the courtroom have white.
Why would
sole.
they do that? Why would they do that?
I'm telling you, I went over it like 2 days ago.
Yeah, but why? But why would they do that?
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, how could they be so sloppy and expect the jury?
You sure it couldn't be one of those like black and blue dresses and white and yellow dresses from a couple of years? Remember that?
Positive.
2014. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. All right, next up, we got.
Pull up Vinnie Politan's video. If you pull up Vinnie Politan's,
I believe you. I'll take your word for it. Let's see. Nancy sends $10 and says closing arguments. No, I already got that one. M sends $10 and says I used to work cases with Higgins years ago, and then he started asking me for nudes. I believe it. Mark sends $10, says any concern about Morrissey having planted jurors in the jury? Doesn't seem beyond them. No, I'm not concerned about that. Thank you, Mark. Nicole Lee sends $10 and it says, I was hoping that when Yannetti was questioning Lucky, he would ask him about the school parking lot conversation Proctor claimed happened so that Lucky could prove Proctor to be the liar that he is. I mean, everybody just but the jury was supposed to strike that. So it's kind of irrelevant. Chris sends $25, says, thank you for all the investigative reporting you've done over the years. Hoping for a not guilty decision after lunch. I'd take before, Chris, but whatever. Steven sends $5, says, I'm curious about your rating system. If Karen is an 8, what is Meredith? She's 10, baby. Love your show and agree Karen is innocent. But what else? What else am I going to say to that? Come on. Love your show.
I'm thinking smart man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The only answer you give.
Yeah, of course. Right. Love your show. Imagine I was like, 7.5 or some shit. Like, what am I going to say to that? Come on. All right. But no, seriously, a 10. Love your show and agree Karen is innocent, but I completely disagree with your excessive rating of Karen. Oh, you thought it was too high. Cheers. Okay. All right. Whatever. Kathy, I mean, whatever. We're not here to judge. We're not Michael Proctor. We're not here to fucking Karen Reed. Great work by Jackson. She says, Yannetti and Little, do not look the other way. Karen is not guilty. Thank you, Turtle Boy, for all you do. Anyone that can go out to Needham in the AM, Dedham, even better. Please go support Karen. Thank you very much, Katiana. Wrestler's mom sends $10 and goes to Gretchen Whore Voss. Good job. Good job whoring yourself out to the crew of murderers. You are now the biggest clown of all. Also, go fuck yourself.
Wrestler's
You're
mom.
such trash. Oh, it's so great. All right. Donna Marie Starks. Everybody hates her too in the line. She's like the new Grant. Like all the other media hate her. Sue from Dateline hates her.
So funny.
My thoughts are well documented. Jess Machado can't stand her. Yeah. Donna Marie sends 10 and says, Brian Albert looks like he's dying really yellow, looking stress of guilt catching him while watching from Queensland to Australia. P.S. Not guilty. All right. Another Turtle Roo. Thank you very much, Donna. We got $5 here from Jenna G. And she says, thank you, Turtle Boy, for never stopping. You and the glare are amazing. 100% the jury knows Karen is innocent and the murderers are sitting with the O'Keefe glaring at them. What else are they capable of? Just one juror to sway them. You know, that's a good point. Danielle sends $25, says, zoom in on Brian Albert. He's so uncomfortable and he can't sit still. I disagree. He doesn't know what to do with his eyes. I think he's a psychopath and he's just a master. He was very cool and collective on the stand. Never, like, he's done this before. Like, he's a psychopath, I think.
Right. I mean, I don't know how much you want to invest in that, but when I was talking to Susan Constantine, who's the body language expert, she was saying that Brian Albert was like, his tells were in his mouth because he's taught himself through his profession to be like, to have stone eyes. So he's trained himself basically to not give away anything in his eyes. But when you watch him talk and lie, he has tells in his mouth, but his eyes, he has completely under control, totally stone. Like no move. It's crazy. It's wild.
Somebody says, why is he dressed like it's November 25th and not June 25th? That's a good question. The sweaters are a little excessive. So thank you very much. He doesn't know what to do with his eyes. He's looking around everywhere. Interesting take. Thank you, Danielle. Mia sends $38 and says, Turtle Boy Canton love to you Sunday. Amazing. Thank you. Mia's Dolphins private. Oh my God. Friend is dating Jill. Okay. Thank you very much, Mia. I mean, yeah, that was wild. There was a lot of love on Sunday. Sunday was very, very cool. I'll put it that way. So thank you very much. Christina sent $25. Says, thank you for choosing not to look the other way and being a voice for the truth. And Karen, amazing. Closing by Jackson. Would you like to have seen Karen testify? I would have liked to seen a lot of things. Of course I would like to see that, but it wasn't meant to be because they had the case wrapped up. I would have liked to hear from Eddie Hernandez and Stephen Ridge, the Boston police officer who Brian Albert punched in the face. I'm kind of surprised they weren't called. But, you know,
I would have liked to see Michael Morrissey on the stand.
Oh,
honestly.
Michael Morrissey.
That would have been fun.
About that. Stephen Nelson.
Yeah,
but, you know,
that would have been fun.
Wasn't necessary. So there we go. So thank you very much. Can't wait to hear those words, not guilty, and see Karen's reaction while everyone watches. Thank you. And I have decided that I am going to be inside for the not guilty verdict because, you know, I thought about streaming outside with my people out there, but you know what? This is a historic moment and I need to be in that courtroom. I need to be there. And like when I come out of the courtroom, there will be, my people are going to be there and it's going to be like fucking awesome. Like let's fucking go, you know?
And I feel like the people would also agree that, you know, you kind of should be in there.
Yeah, I really should.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I kind of feel that way, you know, like you should be where you feel where you want to be. What I'm saying is, you know, if you're asking yourself the question, like, you know, should I witness this? If there's even the chance that you had the chance and that you might regret not being in there, you should definitely do it. I mean, considering all the hard work you put in to this, I mean, that's a hell of a historic moment and you've earned the right to be a part of that moment. You know,
and I want to be there. I want to because the camera, and not to sound like a camera whore, but like there is a certain element of publicity to this. Like I want to be on TV when this shit happens. It's fucking historic. You know what I mean? I want to be there. I want to fucking hug her family. I want to it's going to be so happy, caught up in the emotions. Like I got to be in that courtroom. Got to be in that courtroom, man.
Yeah.
So it is. We got, let's see, A-Rod Rodriguez since $25 says, I don't feel bad for the O'Keefes at all. Fuck them. Lally, the crybaby, asked for a buffer zone so the jury won't be intimidated. Don't wear anything representing Karen Reed. Don't scream for Karen Reed. Karen Reed and her defense team tainted the jury with the mob. Brian Albert and Colin Albert have not been to one court hearing yet today. Their mission was to intimidate the jury with Brian and Colin. Look at us. John O'Keefe family, believe us. So should also. That's exactly what I said. It enraged me when I saw that. So thank you very much, A-Rod. Couple cash apps to bang through here. We have Alicia sends 10 and says, Karen Reed, not guilty, ? I'll allow it. Me too. Thank you. Edward Trainer sends $5 and says, Sean of the Gulf is determined. Meatball and state police are going down. I love Sean of the Gulf's optimism. So I pray to God. I mean, I feed off of Sean's optimism because sometimes I get down with this and I'm just like, you know, especially with the federal shit. But that motherfucker is just like
he's got a way of doing it, man. I'm telling you, dude, like I'm fucking beat. I'm not gonna lie. Today was a long day, but the thing is the most exhausting part. I was already kind of tired, but it's all a good tired. You know, like I'm
It
thrilled
is.
to be
It is.
here. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like I'm
right.
thrilled to be here because this is a great way to top off today for me. And the joining Sean's stream, like it was rejuvenating all over again. He was fired up and got me all, you know, and I gotta say that
exactly.
you know, I share his optimism, man. Like I really believe that there's something going on. I think the defense knows more than they're allowed to say, and they plan on. I mean, they didn't have to go with this third party culprit defense. They didn't have to do that. They could have just poked holes through Proctor's case. That's all they had to do. They did that while showing that there was more reason to believe. Logic and data dictates that John was in that house and was killed in there, you know, and by one of these people. You know, they didn't have to go that extra mile to get Karen Reed off here. So I have to believe that that's for a reason and it's leading somewhere. Just the optimist in me and the faithful person in me just has to believe that. And you know, and look at us all here. We're working towards getting John justice. You know, we're pushing for it. The people are demanding it.
Yeah. Ashley sent $15 and says, "Who's the bigger woman in white behind Jackson?" I don't know who that land whale is. I'm not, and I fuck her too. Like I don't know who she is, but fuck her. Just her presence on that side is you're an asshole if you're over this. So thank you, Ashley. I appreciate that. Jane sends $20 and says Jackson was absolutely on fire today. I completely agree with that one, Jane. Thank you very, very much. Angela sends 25 and says protesting Chris Albert in front of D&E is now okay, right? Again, I am not encouraging anyone to do anything. But protesting in the United States of America, last I checked, is always okay. So I think they just don't like it when I do it. Like everybody else participated in the rolling rally. Nobody else got arrested. The Canton Nine got a fake scare. Like they got a summons. None of them were ever charged. So, you know,
it shouldn't be over, just for the sake of being cautious. It shouldn't be overlooked that there is a law that they can apply to charge you under bullshit because they did it to you and they did it to the Canton Nine.
Well, I'm the only one that's ever been charged, but they weren't charged.
You know,
they were fake charged. They got like a summons and went to a magistrate's hearing and they were never actually charged. And like, by the way, Janelle, like my co-conspirator with the, she was indicted on conspiracy to commit, you know, witness intimidation.
Yeah,
she was has never been arraigned.
The Avon.
Yeah, it's been 6 months. She just never got arraigned. I swear to God, like they have no intention of seeing this shit through. It's freaking bizarre. So Caroline sends $20 and says 2023 was the start of the turtle. Never changed. Thank you very much, Caroline. Wendy sends $25, says, let's give Karen and her team more space tomorrow. Was tight today. I think they like it. I mean, wouldn't you like that? It was awesome. They have bodyguards. Look, we've got our own Turtle Boy security team now. It's like Paul Cristoforo, Bobby. There's like a whole bunch, Minion Mike. It's like, they got us like an entourage.
Rita rolled up there. Rita rolled up there ready to throw down on Sunday.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Tasting Vanity sends $5. It says no comment. So thank you very much. Okay. If anyone else wants to donate, you click at the link at the top for Turtle Chat, or you can cash at me at $ Uncle Turtle Boy. So we are going to try to bang through Lally's testimony, which is way more funnier than Jackson's, as quickly as we can, because it's getting late. Let's do this.
I hit him.
That's all you got.
Those are the words of the defendant. 4 times. You heard testimony from 4 different witnesses who overheard and observed those statements from the defendant on January 29th, 2022. You heard testimony from firefighter Timothy Nuttall. He was trying to bag mask Mr. O'Keefe. He's working on resuscitative efforts to try to save Mr. O'Keefe's life. He asked if anyone saw anything or knew what happened, and the defendant said, I hit him. Firefighter Anthony Flamati was asking if anyone had information on why Mr. O'Keefe was there in the snow. The defendant repeatedly said, I hit him. Oh my God, I hit him. Firefighter Katie McLaughlin was tasked by firefighter Flamati with asking for biographical information and for what the cause was of the traumatic injuries that all the firefighters testified that they observed on Mr. O'Keefe. She asked the defendant. The defendant said, I hit him, repeatedly. Firefighter McLaughlin asked for clarification. You did what? And the defendant repeated, I hit him. Jennifer McCabe stated initially over the phone when speaking with the defendant that the defendant said, could I have hit him in the car while they're on the phone with Ms. Roberts going from Mr. McCabe's house to Mr. O'Keefe's house? Did I hit him? Could I have hit him? Once on scene, once asked, as Mr. McCabe described by an EMT, for name, age, things like that related to Mr. O'Keefe.
I just read that. I was
Indicating
dying.
testimony that the defendant said repeatedly, I
The
hit him.
comments are killing me.
Well, we gotta
Or testimony
critique
from
it.
Officer Seraph. Statements that he.
Okay, so we're gonna. Well, I guess we could bounce around. So you get the point here. I hit him. We've been over this before.
Right.
The person who said that, which I did think there was like some shit that he didn't mention. They didn't mention. I thought this was a critique of Alan Jackson that I had. Is that, I guess going first makes it harder, but he should have known that like that they're gonna push. I hit him. You got to debunk that ahead of time. You got to point out the person who said that I hit it. She said I hit him. Is Katie McLaughlin, a woman who lied to this court about her friendship with Caitlin Albert and got caught in a lie, committed perjury. And
I
then
was thinking the same thing when he said her name.
Right. It's just like that. Never heard the name Katie McLaughlin in any of this. And you should know what they're going to say and debunk it, because you knew they were going to bring up I hit him. It's the first thing he said, So I will skip around this as much as possible.
Did the defendant is saying that morning, this is all my fault. I did this.
Okay.
True, but just ask you to keep that in mind as far as when you're deliberating, you're reviewing this testimony, this evidence. The little things matter. The little things start piling up in this case.
The little things, right.
Throughout the course of this trial, you've heard a lot of purported evidence or questions of witnesses in an attempt to distract you from the evidence in this case. It's essentially defense by obfuscation. It's a three-card monitor. Facts on the evidence in this case is a card with parts. And so what the defense wants you to do is not look at that card. Look at anything else. Look at movement. Look at this person. Look at that person. Look at text messages. Look at this. Don't pay attention to the facts and the evidence, because if you do, what it will ineluctably lead you to is that the defendant is guilty of each of the three indictments. See,
he's doing exactly what Jackson said he was going to do.
Yes, look over here.
Look over here. Don't look over here.
Yes.
And so the jury's going, are you seriously telling us not to look over here right now?
Right.
Like,
right.
This guy's an idiot. Like, Jackson has just got him. Jackson is playing him like a puppet. It's amazing.
Right. I guess the more I hear this, the more confident I am that we are going to hear not guilty tomorrow. So I'm
sure.
worried. I'm not worried, but I'm just like,
there's always that chance, of course. You know, like look at all of the shit that's gone on in this case. Like it's not unreasonable to worry that something that you would never expect that's total bullshit could absolutely happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
Are for you, the jury, to decide. Using your common sense, using your life experiences as your guide through that as you go. Before I turn to that evidence, I will submit to you collectively demonstrates the defendant's guilt. Let me first get the rest of the trial. Text messages from Trooper Proctor are unprofessional, they're indefensible, they're inexcusable. However,
this is great.
As distasteful as those messages are,
This is great.
I submit they had no bearing whatsoever or impact whatsoever on the integrity of the entirety of the investigation that Massachusetts State Police collectively conducted into John O'Keefe's death. As was asked of Trooper Proctor on cross-examination, these were texts from his personal phone that he never thought would see the light of day. He was asked whether or not he ever thought that he would be asked about these in a courtroom. Put you in a sort of a safe space, a safe place for him to discuss. What do you not see in those text messages?
Okay, stop right there. A safe place for misogyny, a safe place to talk about balloon knots, a safe place to say that you think she should kill herself, a safe place where you say, fuck her, a safe place where you say, he's a Boston cop, we're not going to investigate him, a safe place while texting your immediate superiors, John.
Right.
You can. That's a safe place.
A safe place is a group text with your professional colleagues in law enforcement who you're supposed to answer for as far as being called out on misconduct. And here they are encouraging you, and somehow Proctor's privacy was invaded because he was texting within a safe place.
It's somehow okay.
Right.
Because he didn't think they would become public. So like somehow that makes it okay. And like, I hope the jury's asking what they should have, they became public because he's under federal investigation, my dude. Like that's why he never thought, you're right, Lally. He never thought he'd be under FBI investigation, but
incredible.
Incredible.
Yeah. Because look, hey man, what do you mean? Rape? Well, I didn't fucking know it was going to get videotaped and released, man. That's not my fault.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
Dude, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
That's Lally's logic right here. It's insane.
You don't see any discussion or any illusion of any conspiracy, of any framing of the defendant, of any planting of any evidence, no evidence whatsoever. Why?
So they don't, he never said in text, hey, we're going to plant some taillights. So I guess that means he's innocent. Okay, good job.
Because it didn't happen. There is no conspiracy. There is no cover up. There is no evidence of any of that beyond speculation, rampant speculation and conjecture on behalf of the defense. Two things can be true at the same time. They're mutually exclusive. The text from Trooper Proctor are distasteful, disrespectful, unprofessional. There's no defense to them. And the defendant killed John O'Keefe.
Oh, okay.
Turning to the evidence, let me first talk a little bit about Dono. We heard a lot about him over the course of this trial, about his selfless story, from his family and friends that loved him, including his adopted niece and nephew. We heard a lot about the lives he touched and the different people who he had friendships with. We heard a lot about from those particular friends and from his family. Turning to what I would submit to you was a time. It's maybe a little hard to see up here what I'm going to go with from left to right. January 28, 2022, 9:49 in the morning, Karen and John begin fighting over text messages.
So this is like this is all they got. Is like, bro, here's a time. I loved Larry Foreman's tweet that idiot retweeted earlier. And it's just like, so you're just making a timeline of shit and
right.
Guilty.
That's what I'm saying.
Here's a bunch of shit that happened that has nothing to do with anything. Oh yeah. So she was a cunt here. Okay. They got in a fight here. And then they went out anyway.
Right.
They got in a fight, an argument, and they hate each other so much. And then they met up for drinks. Like,
right.
What?
Right.
Oh my goodness gracious. And so I'll skip some of this shit.
2:32 p.m. We're answered. The defendant, I issue the defendant. The defendant says to me, when the defendant receives drink number 1 at CF McAlberts.
Oh, I should drink
vodka soda, tall cylinder glass.
Oh no, she had a bunch of drinks. Okay,
7 drinks. Testify that she produces a vodka, and then pouring them into the drink after she's consumed the drink. 10:54 p.m.
Oh, I love this because, as I said earlier, what he does here is explains that she's jealous and suspects that he's cheating.
Right.
He explains it.
Ms. O'Keefes and the defendant departing the waterfall together. Interestingly, around the same time, you also have the text and screenshot communications between Colin Albert and Allison McCabe in reference to him getting picked up at that time. You also have testimony from Brian Albert and Cole Albert, Caitlin Albert, Brian Albert Jr. in reference to them sort of walking in from the waterfall as Colin Albert is walking out of 34 Fairview Road.
Yeah, now it's time to defend Colin Albert, which the defense didn't even bring up in their summation. Because Colin Albert's, by the way, not on trial.
Right.
But we have a screenshot. We have a screenshot that was somehow allowed into evidence there. So that's legit.
But that's what I'm saying. It's so funny because they never even brought him up.
Right.
And yet, for some reason, it was a good idea to stick him in the courtroom facing the jury the entire time these closing arguments are being made. It's like, if you didn't, like, the worst thing that you could do is plant Colin Albert in the jury's mind. And sure enough, they plant Colin Albert right in front of the jury's faces.
Right.
Incredible.
I know, right? Like, yeah, look at this douchebag over here.
Picked up by Mr. McCabe and then is driven home. 1 minute later, 12:11, Mr. O'Keefe is then on the waterfall video, walking out with a cocktail glass in his right hand. At 12:14 a.m., Mr. O'Keefe texts Mr. McCabe, where to? 12:14 a.m., based on the fact that she's driving, and Matt McCabe indicated in his testimony that she should call him instead of texting while driving. Mr. McCabe calls John O'Keefe, speaks with him regarding directions or going over which way to come in Chapman Street, over Cedar Crest, as far as coming into Fairview Road. 12:15:38 a.m., the defendant's vehicle drives by the Canton Library. You can see that on the video. 12:17:56, the defendant drives by the Temple Beth Abraham video. Again, you can see that on the video. Remember also the testimony from Lieutenant Tully in regard to the CSLI data and the ranging data in reference to coinciding with what you observed.
Okay,
so and travels back toward Fairview. That's from Mr. O'Keefe's GPS native location data from his phone.
Which isn't
around
as
the same time,
accurate.
12:23 and 12:24 is when you have that testimony from Ryan Nagel, Heather Maxson, and Ricky Cantono, pulling into Fairview Road around the same time and pulling in behind the dark SUV.
Like, bro, you're bringing up Ryan Nagel's testimony, which said that John wasn't inside or outside the car. Okay.
12:25 a.m. is the last native location GPS data of John O'Keefe's phone in that area between 32, 34 Fairview Road, where his body is discovered the next morning, in which there is no movement of that phone from that 12:25 a.m. period until Ms. Roberts then picks up the phone on the grass underneath Mr. O'Keefe's body sometime after 6 a.m. Have up on the screen right now is that data, those quality points that Trooper Garino was testifying about as far as the movement of the vehicle.
Oh, cool. Look at these dots.
Comes down, Cedar Crest passes by Fairview. Versus
Google Earth map. Like, bro, you serious?
You now have up on the screen for you here, indicating that following that 3-point turn, 2 miles per hour, 62.5 feet, with a minor steering angle change, which the trooper indicated was consistent with a pedestrian collision.
Right. Yeah.
12:30 a.m. You have that second triggering event 8 minutes after the 3-point turn when the vehicle is in reverse at 24.2 miles an hour. 12:35 is when the defendant calls John, and that's unanswered. 12:36 is around the time that the defendant's phone connects to Wi-Fi.
Here we go.
12:37 is when the defendant leaves this voicemail. So within minutes of that vehicle's data, going 24.2 miles an hour in reverse for 62 and a half feet. The defendant leaves that voicemail.
Yeah.
Seething in rage as she's screaming, John, I fucking hate you.
Like, this is like what
She's already home.
But even the biggest hater in the world has to be like, bro, that makes no sense. So she killed him. And then she's like, yo, I'm going to leave an angry voicemail now? Like, what?
She gets home and goes, I fucking hate you. Like, no, like she's pissed off. She probably tried to act like she didn't give a shit about the fact and probably tested him and it backfired. Like, okay, well, I'm not going to go. This is like a woman game, bro. Like, come on, dude. Like, you know what I'm talking about. There was a fucking she was playing a stupid woman game where she goes, and men do this too. Fucking cucks do this shit too, where they go, oh, you know, well, you really want to go, but you know what? I don't really feel good. So I think I'm just going to go home, but you can go home if you want, which really translates to if you go there, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
You should just come home with me.
Right.
And then John failed the test and probably deliberately was like, dude, you know what? Fuck you. I'm going to go fucking hang out with these motherfuckers, dude. Like, be mad, whatever. Then she couldn't handle it and then lost her shit, started leaving him a shit ton of voicemails like, fuck you. You're not going to have a good time, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to ruin your good time and keep calling you with a bunch of shit. Like, none of this says that she just killed somebody. Like, that is the furthest thing from logic. Is that she does this because she just killed somebody.
Like, I know that if I, you know what I mean? Like, if Meredith was like, you know, like if we went somewhere, but like we went out drinking somewhere and then I was like, yo, can I go to this party like alone? And then you go home. Like, would be like, what fucking woman would be like, yeah, that's fucking great. Yeah, go get drunk with that Jen McCabe woman. She seems nice and fucking, and I'll just go home and hang out with your kid. And and then I'll be in a good mood. Like, that'll go well. That'll go well. Like, what?
She just pounded fucking 7 fucking drinks. She's drunk. She's pissed. Like, I realized that she said that she wasn't drunk on Nightline or whatever, or Dateline, whichever one it was. I realized that. And when I saw that and the way that she answered it, when she goes, 4, I was like, she's fucking lying. And that's okay. Like, she was drunk. Everybody was drunk. Just admit that you were drunk. It's fine. And it makes perfect sense as to why, if you were that drunk, you start leaving those angry voicemails and sending pissed off texts because your mind is racing because this dude was like, all right, fuck you, whatever, go home. And then he's going to hang out where he knows there are women who he has connections with that are most likely platonic, but she doesn't trust it because she feels insecure in their relationship at the time. And so her imagination, her vodka fueled imagination is going wild.
Like,
while he's doing God knows what.
He was supposed to call her back. Like, she was uneasy about letting him go there in the first place. And so she's like, okay, just text me, let me know everything's cool in there. And then he doesn't text back. And so she's like, this motherfucker is probably like, what's up, bro? Like, you know what I mean? Like doing like fucking drunk motherfucker again. I'm going to get stuck with his kids. As the night goes on, the longer the night goes on, the angrier she gets because she's like, this motherfucker. And then
where she's just freaking out because she just realized, fuck, I just left this guy alone with the guy that I've been texting with behind his back.
Well, that's
what they're fucking talking about. And she's panicking.
That kicks in at 4:53. That like when she wakes up, like she falls asleep on the couch for like 2 hours, and then she wakes up and she's just like, oh shit, he's not home. Now I'm starting to get a little bit worried because this is not like him. Like, if he had come home at like 2 o'clock, I'd be pissed then. Like, this motherfucker. But now I'm like 5. Like, where the fuck is he? Like, what's going on here? This is unusual, you know?
And she calls Jen, dude. She calls or has the niece call Jen because she wants to come off like having a good excuse. And the good excuse for calling Jen, who she's not close to, at 4 something in the morning is because she's worried. So she has to paint this picture, and she has John's niece call Jen so she doesn't look like a Karen and like a worry, like a jealous crazy person because she knows how it looks. But she's absolutely, she wants it to be Jen who she contacts because she suspects that John's sleeping with Jen. That's her fear.
Right.
So she wants to catch them but she wants to do it by under the guise of I'm worried, so I'm going to get John's niece to call her.
Right.
That's all that was.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
1240 to 1242. Ms. McCabe is texting Mr. O'Keefe. She tries calling Mr. O'Keefe, is wondering where her friend, Mr. O'Keefe, is.
Nobody knows what the fuck you want to
Okay, yep.
But somebody did know where Mr. O'Keefe was. The defendant knew exactly where he was. She'd driven him there. She'd struck him there. She'd left him to die. 1:02 a.m. The defendant leaves another voicemail.
Like what a weak argument. Like she goes, nobody knows where the fuck you are. And which seems to indicate that she doesn't know where he is. And she's like, and he's just like, she does know where she is. Okay.
Right.
So I guess that whole voicemail was fake. Like that was all fake.
She does know where she is because do you want to tell the jury? Do you want to share this?
He does know where she is because I believe he killed her. So I have to say that. Like what? Like what? Fuck that. Playing that seems to indicate that she doesn't. But okay, Lally.
Content. And then she texts John, your kids are fucking alone.
Okay.
1:09 a.m. The defendant texts John, I'm back in Mansfield. The kids are home alone. She's not.
Yeah.
GPS, as far as it never disconnects from the Wi-Fi until
we know that's a lie.
No
We
indication
know.
Left,
She's
went to
fucking
home in Mansfield at any point.
Okay, we got it.
1:10 a.m. The defendant calls her parents.
Okay.
1:11 a.m. She calls Mr. O'Keefe and leaves this voice.
John, I'm going home. I cannot be sitting me. I need to go home. You are fucking using me right now. You're fucking another girl. Keep sleeping next to me. You're a fucking loser. Fuck yourself.
You're fucking another girl. She said it. Like,
yeah, even Karen says
plain
loser.
as-
What's with people? They go to Canton and their immediate like insult is loser. Even she says it.
It's true.
It's like even she says it. You're a loser.
She verbally absolutely elaborates the obvious, which is, I think that he's sleeping with someone else. That's what this is.
Which you can't do if you're dead. You cannot fuck anyone if you're dead, even though, Chris Albert's wife probably doesn't notice the difference. But I'm just saying, but generally speaking, you can't fuck if you're dead. So there's that.
1:43 or 1:45 a.m. is when Julie Nagel testified that they were leaving the house. And she sees a large black object on the lawn near the flagpole while leaving 34 Fairview Road. Doesn't think much of it at the time, isn't expecting Mr. O'Keefe or any body to be out on the front lawn. 4:42 a.m. The defendant calls and speaks. The calls to her parents are finally answered. 4:49 a.m. The defendant calls Ms. Camerano, screaming, "Where's Mike?" 4:53 in the morning is when the defendant instructs Kaylee, Mr. O'Keefe's niece, to call Ms. McCabe. Why? Because the defendant doesn't have Ms. McCabe's phone number. Indicates that John didn't come home. We got in a fight, and I left him at the waterfall. Those are the.
Julie Nagel sees large black object on lawn.
Karen was
doesn't report to police. Doesn't say this till 9 months later. Doesn't say anything the next day. Doesn't tell anyone in the car about it. Like, okay, yeah, the black blob. They're really going with the black blob. Like, dude, come on.
The first statements or the first version of events that she's able to communicate out to the world as to what happened to Mr. O'Keefe and where he is. We got into a fight. I left him at the waterfall. 5 a.m. The defendant calls Kerry Roberts, saying, "John's dead. Kerry. You have the video of that. It's number 153 in Exhibit 6. We'll get to that a little more.
Yeah,
Text messages are being sent, calling your parents, all of these other things. No calls to 911 from the defendant.
Why would she call 911? Why would she call 911?
And dying from brain injury and skull fracture on the front lawn of 34.
Why would she call 911?
5:11 a.m. The defendant's vehicle is seen on the Canton library camera heading towards the waterfall.
She thinks he's fucking
These are
someone else.
retracing steps.
Hello. Like, what would she say if she called 911? You're on. Yeah, I have a medical emergency. My boyfriend's a fucking asshole. He fucks other bitches.
Right.
You go
That's
arrest
what
him.
he was hoping to do. He was hoping to catch John with Jen. Like
There's
that's all that was.
Police, even Sean Good on one of these calls is just like, we can't do any. If you have to be missing for 24 hours for that. They're not going to go looking for a grown ass man who went out drinking. Like, that's not what the police are going to be like, yeah, we can't do anything about that. So, okay. I don't know what you want us to do.
Right.
Like, that's it. Like, what do you want us to do?
And they kind of did that when Kerry Roberts called the cops. She was
yes,
like,
yeah.
He's probably fucking drunk. Like, I'm just wondering if you picked up somebody for being drunk and disorderly.
Yeah,
he happens to be a Boston cop.
Nope. Okay. Take it. Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
So she doesn't do that.
Yeah. Great.
10 a.m. The defendant's vehicle was seen at Washington Street in Chapman on the Temple Beth Abraham video, heading in the same direction that it was the night before when it was heading to 34 Fairview Road. 5:35 is when the defendant arrives in Ms. McCabe's house. Ms. Roberts arrives shortly thereafter. Both of them see the broken taillight at that time in the driveway. Now, that gap of 5:18 to 5:35 is way too much time to be driving from the area of the waterfall to Jennifer McCabe's house. As I indicated a moment before, heading in the same directionality, retracing the steps from the night before, heading towards 34 Fairview Road. Why is it that the defendant can see Mr. O'Keefe when they eventually get to Fairview Road and no one else can? It's because she knew exactly where he was.
Oh,
She hit him and left him
right,
there.
right.
At 4. She's gone back during that time frame between
This is
5,
just so
18 a.m. when she's seen on the Temple video and 5:35
No,
when she arrives.
it's because John was obviously lying in the snow, and for some reason she was the only one who could see him.
6:03.
And by the way, this is such an thank you for noticing that, Rachel. I noticed that too. This dude hand wrote his fucking summation. He couldn't even type it out because you know he's a hunt and peck guy. You know he's like a hunt and peck guy. So like he like how much longer did that take him to write? I found out about writing things in prison, dude. You have to write out all the articles I wrote. It takes so much freaking longer.
Parker.
It takes so much longer to write out something than to type it out. You can type it out a million times faster. This dude wrote out everything. So underrated. Nice picture. Nice eye there, Rachel. I like that.
When the defendant, no one else, spots Mr. O'Keefe's body buried in the snow. Exhibit 12, indicating this cruise camera video, which I know you've seen a dozen times. So where I'm starting it from this point in this card right here is the spot that Officer Sarah had to use in order to locate, even with the vehicle of Ms. Roberts parked right in the middle of the road.
Another timeline. Great. Yeah. Okay. Yep. There they are. There they are approaching the well-lit scene. Oh, wait. How could she have seen that on a wide open lawn?
In the darkness, in the snow, in the blizzard, in those conditions, the defendant sitting in the backseat of the vehicle knows exactly where Mr. O'Keefe is, covered in snow, as you heard from all of the paramedics, from the civilian witnesses, from the first responders. The defendant knows exactly where he is. 6:07 a.m., Ms. McCabe calls 911. 6:08, the defendant leaves that 4 or 5 minute voicemail, leaving the phone in the car for some reason to Mr. O'Keefe's phone. 6:23 and 6:24 in the night, 5:20 p.m. to Mr. O'Keefe, to his family, to his friends, and to his relationship with the defendant. We heard testimony from Paul and Aaron O'Keefe that they liked the defendant.
Yeah, she liked him.
That he thought that she was good for John, thought that she was good for the kid.
Yeah.
While he explained to their nephew Patrick about John's past. Defendant shows up at the house, abruptly goes upstairs with her father for a period of about 15 minutes, which is about half the time that she spent there that morning reading with the family. She left with a bag of her belongings, drove with her family there, and then took an extra vehicle in the height of the blizzard, around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, drive that vehicle all the way from Canton, where it was parked at her boyfriend's house, where she stayed over on many occasions, drove that vehicle, felt the need to drive that vehicle from Canton all the way down to her parents' house in Dayton at the height of the blizzard.
Yeah, probably because Peggy was being a cunt. So she wanted to get the fuck out because they were accusing her of killing John. So things got awkward, you fucking idiot.
We heard testimony from Aaron O'Keefe of the text messages and phone call on January 28th. Heard that Aaron O'Keefe called.
Like, it's just so obvious
on the
that
morning
he's
of the 29th.
trying to make
She was concerned. She wanted to know what
this
was going on.
grand,
She considered her friend.
insane story out of something that clearly doesn't add up. It's just
I
like
know,
he's
is.
really coloring outside of the lines here,
It
and
really
the
is.
jury can
Ben
totally
yelled on
see it.
Yeah. And honestly, I can't listen to the whole thing. We're going to listen to this. I almost just want to skip to the end.
Robertson grabs the phone and then updates Aaron O'Keefe as to what's going on. Indicates to her, I don't think I'll ever see you guys. This is
Okay.
after she's done her quick in and out at 1 Meadows Ave. And is now
Yeah,
with-
okay.
If she didn't kill John, why would she say it?
I don't know.
You heard a lot of testimony about New Year's Eve.
Why would she say what?
Testimony from Miss O'Keefe. To Aaron O'Keefe. I don't think I'll ever see you guys. Why? If she didn't kill John, why would she say it?
Because
I
she
don't
was
see-
being dramatic, man. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus
And-
Christ.
and
How
like-
hard is that to, like, being a drama queen does not make you a fucking killer, dude. You know?
Also, my connection, what was Karen's connection to Aaron O'Keefe? Right?
I
Like
don't know.
that, well, she was dating, she's married to John O'Keefe's brother, right? So if John O'Keefe's dead, do the math. John O'Keefe's dead, then she's no longer in a relationship with John O'Keefe. So she has no connection to Aaron O'Keefe anymore. It's like when you break up with somebody, you're breaking up with their friends as well, right? So if the person you're
Right.
dating dies,
Most of the time, yeah.
yeah, I mean, unless you're fucking one of
Unless
those-
you made friends while
unless,
you guys
unless
were a couple,
unless you're a piece of shit, unless you're one of those people that it's just like, oh yeah, like I have a friend that does this sometimes. Like, you know, somebody breaks up with his girlfriend, and then this one guy, I'm not going to say what his name is, he'll want to still be friends with the girl. Like, no, bro, when your boy breaks up with the girl, you don't stay friends with her. You are only friends with her to be polite to your friend. Like that's the only reason you were cordial with
all
her.
your male friends are looking at you like, dude.
Like, what do you want to hang? You want to be friends
Dude,
with like my
what are you
ex?
doing?
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Why would you want to be friends with my ex? Your
I
friend,
don't know, bro.
And
That's
it's
weird.
the same way. Like John O'Keefe's dead, so why would Karen Reed continue to be friends with Aaron O'Keefe? That makes no fucking sense. That would be weird. It's not like they were married or anything like that. It's like what?
Right.
You know, like that doesn't make any sense. So, and you're right. She was being dramatic. Like she was being fucking dramatic. It's not a big deal, Lally.
Right.
You heard a lot of testimony about New Year's Eve in a room.
Yes,
You heard testimony
unfortunately.
from Ms. O'Keefe in regards to them
Unfortunately, yes.
exchanging, her and the defendant exchanging text messages on the flight down, arranging times to meet up. And then the defendant telling Aaron via text message that she caught Johnny kissing Laura's sister in the hotel lobby. She got into an argument about it, and then they never met. Meaning the defendant, Ms. O'Keefe, got into an argument about it, and she and Aaron O'Keefe never ended up meeting up in a room. Her testimony consisted from Laura Sullivan, Marietta Sullivan, as well as the children. The kiss never happened. It never would happen, based on the relationship, the godfather relationship that John O'Keefe had with Laura Sullivan, her family, and particularly Laura Sullivan's child. The defendant persists with this unfounded suspicion and accusations of infidelity in her text messages with Mr. O'Keefe, in her text messages with Mr. Higgins, where she's accusing Mr. O'Keefe of making out in the lobby with Marietta Sullivan. Both of the Sullivans and the children have the defendant and Mr. O'Keefe.
That's a good
following
point
this
too,
with
Olivia.
Marietta Sullivan,
She
going
wasn't
into the
allowed to
Both of the
contact
children
her.
testified that they're in that room for about 20 to 25
Right.
minutes, and they're arguing about the defendant indicating that Mr. O'Keefe kissed someone in the lobby. You have Laura
But
Sullivan.
even
About
the
20 to 25
person
minutes after her
who
sister comes out and states her displeasure about the defendant, it's about 20 to 25 minutes.
Like when I was listening to this, I'm like, I can't believe this dude's talking about Laura Sullivan. Like, you got to be kidding me.
And even she admitted, it was either her or her sister that admitted that Karen Reed tried to make it right there on the trip. Like, hey, I
Right.
want to pay for her room.
Right.
You
That's a
know,
good point.
because I jumped to a conclusion. Like, that's a classy move, you know?
Right,
like, shit,
right.
I thought I saw something. I was wrong. I'd like to pay for her room. How? And then all of a sudden, she's doing that, but yet you expect the jury to believe that she's harboring all this animosity because of this kiss that she's already admitted to, jumping to the conclusion and didn't see it, but now she's harboring it and it's a motive to kill John.
Right.
Like later. What?
That makes sense to him somehow, I guess.
Insane. Well, he expects it to make sense to anyone else, is what's astounding.
So he gets to the Ford edge here. I'm going to skip ahead.
Is what she's looking for. When she asks over and over again, is he dead? Is he dead? Is he dead?
Yeah, right.
You have the testimony that you heard from Ms. McCabe and Ms. Roberts. I say them together because as far as these two women were concerned, they did not know each other really at all. They only provided him and children. Jennifer with respect to the niece and Kerry with respect to the nephew. But they're both contacted by the defendant in the early morning of January 29th. As Ms. McCabe, both the defendant and the victim indicated that they wanted to come and that they were. She describes the phone going down Fairview coming off of Chapman. But you first go down a big steep hill. It flattens out for a little bit, and then you go down a second. 2 hills going down on Chapman. Matching the GPS native location and the health data as far as where Mr. O'Keefe's phone is, a half mile away from 34 Fairview Road at the time that his health data.
Oh, yeah. So this is him explaining health data. Hold on.
Stairs, going down on. You've heard this testimony from a couple of different witnesses as far as the steepness as you're going down Chapman, as you're going down Fairview coming off of Chapman. But you first go down a big steep hill. It flattens out for a little bit, and then you go down a second. 2 hills going down on Chapman. Matching
2 hills going down on Chapman.
The GPS native location and the health data as far as where Mr. O'Keefe's phone is, a half mile away from 34 Fairview Road.
Garino said what? Garino didn't say the hill was on Chapman. Garino said the hill was on Oakdale, which was flat because I went there on Sunday before getting into an altercation with the McAlberts Mafia. Okay, like you got to be kidding me.
Time that his health data is reporting that he's ascending or descending 3 flights of stairs. You hear the testimony from Ms. McCabe as far as the last time that she spoke to Mr. O'Keefe. She's still trying to provide directions to Fairview because Mr. O'Keefe has never been there before, neither has the defendant, which is further corroborated in Sugar Garino's testimony as far as the vehicle passing by Fairview and then coming back in on the other side, having to reverse direction. But she's giving directions and she indicates that she uses a house that Mr. O'Keefe will be familiar with, that belonging to Bella or Bella's mom. Bella's mom is an ex-girlfriend for a short period of time, a long time. However, in the defendant's mind, it's so fresh in her mind that she's still talking about it the next morning or later on that when she's riding, going towards Fairview Road with Ms. Roberts and Ms. McCabe in Ms. Roberts' car. She's still talking about it at that time. It's that much on her mind.
Oh, yeah. So jealous.
Ms. McCabe indicated that she looked out, she saw a vehicle initially in front of the front door as Mr. McCabe, as Brian Albert Jr., as Julie Nagel, as Brian Nagel. The vehicle moved up several times from several spots,
Yeah.
where it was then positioned. Initially at some point in front of the door, then it moves up further so that it's in the area of the fire hydrant and the flagpole when Mr. O'Keefe's body was discovered later on that morning.
Alan Jackson brought this all up and how it doesn't align with him being there at 12:36. Like, she said, what time did she say she heard this stuff, Lally?
Right. He already
12:40,
shut
right?
this timeline down.
Yeah.
And he's like, no. But look at this timeline, though.
Oh my God.
But
Like,
Jackson already shut it down, dude. Like the jury's going, wait a minute. No, this has already been disproven.
At least by Ms. McCabe and Ms. Roberts. And then moves up further beyond that. And I say that in the sense that it moves up further beyond that with sufficient distance for it to then go in reverse for 62.5 feet at 24.2 miles per hour, striking Mr. O'Keefe and leaving him where he was found later on in the 29th. Again, the testimony from Ms. McCabe that about 12:40 when she's texting him, she's indicated in her testimony she couldn't be certain if Mr. O'Keefe
If I say it enough times, it's going to make it true.
Totally.
John Smith's Caleb, 4:53 in the morning. This is from an 8 of that morning. Ms. McCabe then indicates to the defendant, we saw you outside of my sister's house shortly after 5 o'clock. They go to Mr. O'Keefe's house. And both
here we go.
Ms. McCabe,
I love this part. I love this part.
Indicates, and you heard this testimony from a number of
This is great.
friends and family.
This is the best part.
Mr. O'Keefe, that you got a rule, pretty strict rule in this house as far as you take your shoes off when you come in the house. So what did Ms. McCabe and Ms. Roberts both do when they're entering in that house on January 29th? They take off their boots, they come out in the snow, they take off their boots in the mudroom, and then they walk in. What did they both indicate that the defendant did that morning when she came back to the house? Walk right in with the shoes. You hear that second voicemail. It's after the defendant's arrived back at One Meadows Ave, after her phone's been
Fucking
connected.
psycho.
And you can hear.
You got it, honey. You did it. The case cracker. Me in the shower. I love this. That's it.
Like, dude, the fucking shoes, dude. The case cracker. The case cracker.
She's a fucking psychopath, dude. I mean,
I
Jesus
couldn't.
Christ.
I'm like, dude, the shoes in the house. That's what we're going with. So, like, basically, I was saying this on Howie today. So let me get this straight. The dastardly Karen Reed was like, I like that motherfucker John always makes me take my shoes off. Always. But guess what? That motherfucker's dead now.
Yeah.
So I'm not fucking taking off my shoes. Fuck off, John.
100%.
You can't stop me because I killed your ass, motherfucker. I killed your ass. Like,
She
what?
fucking Rick James'd his floor. Like, fuck your floor. Fuck your floor.
You're dead. Fuck your
Like,
floor.
That's so plausible, Lally.
Like, dude.
Good job, buddy. Excellent.
Like, I can't believe he said that. Like, he actually said that was evidence of her guilt. She didn't take her shoes off, or bear with me. She's like, John's missing. This is a fucking life or death scenario. Where the fuck is he? I don't give a fuck if the floor gets dirty. I'll clean that shit later.
Right. The last thing I'm thinking about right now is the fucking floor.
Yeah.
I need to find my boyfriend because I think he could be fucking God knows where doing
God
knows what. And
Like, yeah.
I have no idea.
I would argue
Right.
that people who did take their shoes off in the moment were actually more guilty looking. Like, that is
Right.
a more, you guys took your fucking
The
shoes
people
off.
I suspected him of fucking are right here with me in his house.
Oh my God.
So that means that I'm worried officially that he might be hurt.
Yes.
Or that may be in the garage, or that might be in the house. Why is it that the defendant has no issue with wearing shoes in the house when Mr. O'Keefe
Oh
has
my
his shoes?
God. Oh
She
my
knows where he
God.
is.
Oh my God.
She knows it's not an issue. He's not coming home because she hit him with her SUV, but she left him in the snow.
Yeah, actually.
Ms. Roberts and Ms. McCabe are frantically sort of running around the house looking for Mr. O'Keefe, and it's not. They then get in the vehicle. They drive back towards Fairview Road, and again, the defendant from the backseat of the vehicle immediately sees the defendant, starts pulling and kicking on the door, and runs in sort of a beeline straight over to where Mr. O'Keefe is laying on the front lawn. You have the testimony from Ms. Roberts as far as John's phone. John's phone, when the firefighters pick him up, and recall several witnesses testifying about that, pick him up on a scoop stretcher and they bring him over to the ambulance while they're conducting the assisted efforts trying to save Ms. O'Keefe's phone. But Ms. Roberts indicated that she observed underneath only the phone on the grass in the area that is completely covered in snow in every other area except under Mr. O'Keefe.
All right.
Which I would submit indicates how long Mr. O'Keefe has been there. Now recall, around 12 o'clock or so is when it starts to snow and starts to stick a little bit. You've heard all that testimony. And I know it was a lot of testimony about snow, a lot of testimony about weather, but there's a purpose to that. There's a point.
Oh, yeah, there was. Yeah,
as far as
right.
the grass underneath Mr. O'Keefe's body, where his cell phone was, Ms. Roberts observed some 6 hours later after it starts snowing, it's still visible only under Mr. O'Keefe where his body is. So I would submit as evidence to you as to how long he's
Oh
been
my God. Oh my God.
Dude, the
Now, on
guy's
top of
got
that, you also have
a fucking personality of a
ring videos
toilet
the
brush.
driveway as far as shoveling,
Nobody
all
pays
other people,
attention to
no
what
rolling,
he's
shoveling all
saying
those
because
things.
he's so
Purpose of that.
overwhelmingly
If you look
boring.
at this, if you look at the video of
A
the
toilet
defendant
brush has
crashing
a
into Mr. O'Keefe's
function,
vehicle,
though.
as
Like,
the
it
video
does
and
something.
verified, which Dr.
Great
Wolf,
point.
indicates
A
that not
valuable
damage,
thing,
like,
I would
was
argue.
observed in
Like,
case.
this guy
You
does
don't see
nothing.
snow move off the
Right.
vehicle when they come into contact. You don't see any red clear plastic pieces in the snow. And if you look at those things, the ones that counsel put up there during his closing, but if you look at each of the video in the still,
Snow
you see the
doesn't come
damage
off.
consistent with the tail light at each and every consistent from the right here, February 1st, 2022, when the search warrant is conducted, Ms. Sargent removes all those pieces from the driveway indictment. They were wading through a foot and an inch hair PM until
The
February.
hair. Talking about the goddamn
Remember,
hair.
It's not just blunt impact injuries. It's blunt impact injuries.
Honestly, anytime I can see Brian
As you can
Albert, I
see,
like looking
from
at him.
the route. The weather, also important, I would submit. Weather was wet.
Just like, bro, look at them. Like, dude. Look at them.
Remember, the cause of death here is not just blunt impact injuries. Blunt impact injuries and hypothermia.
Stone face.
You've heard all that medical testimony in relation to when you first observed Mr. O'Keefe. That's initially on scene. There was one eye that was swollen, not the other. That's indication of the swelling that Dr. Sporty was testifying to, and no indication of physical altercation. And then both eyes being swollen when Ms. Roberts viewed Mr. O'Keefe's body after his passing at the Good Samaritan. Submit that all the testimony tells you the same consistent account, internally, externally, from civilian testimony to investigator testimony, to medical testimony, to forensic testimony, to the reconstruction testimony. You have the testimony from Ms. McCabe and Ms. Roberts that they couldn't see Mr. O'Keefe at Fairview when the officers, anywhere from 5 to 12 feet off the roadway.
Yeah.
And from the civilians as well. Ms. McCabe, Ms. Roberts, Officer Mulaney has 6 inches of snow on Mr. O'Keefe when he first sees him.
Yeah.
Brian Alvin and Brian Higgins spent January 28, 2022, traveling to New York City to go to a funeral for another police officer, for another department, who they didn't even know. Traveled all the way down to New York and then came back before the blizzard. Only
Did you notice that not once the defense brought up that Brian Albert didn't go to John O'Keefe's funeral? Missed opportunity.
I thought I was talking about that on my live when we were going over this. Like, none of these people went to John O'Keefe's funeral.
Some did. I mean, Carl did. But Carl's, Carl actually liked John. Like,
Well, I mean, the
he's
people
just an
that
asshole.
are sitting there, right? Like,
Right,
Jen
yeah.
McCabe didn't go to his funeral.
I didn't see her there. No, definitely Brian Albert didn't go. And the fact that he went to some stranger's funeral, I mean, how would have, if I was Jackson, have been probably, he couldn't go to his funeral, but he's in this courtroom today. I feel like he should have brought that up. Like, they're here right now. Like, they are trying to intimidate you. Like, that would have been a powerful
Right, yeah.
statement, bro. They're here. Why do you think they're here? They've never been to a pretrial hearing.
Right.
But
He had visual aid to be like, those people, each one of them, when I put them on the stand, they lied.
Yep.
Every single one of them.
Yeah.
Like,
and they've never
But
come
he
to any
only had an
pretrial
hour.
hearings. They never come to any pretrial hearings, but they came today because
Right.
you have to deliberate. Ask yourself why. Ask yourself why they suddenly showed up and are staring at you.
right.
That would have been.
But I feel like if I had to guess why they wouldn't do that is because they probably trust the jury to already be thinking this on their own. The jury has to be asking this question themselves. These people, all of a sudden, they're here when we have to go and deliberate. They're here for closing arguments and they're facing us. Like, there's something with that.
Yeah.
Like, there's something with that. If the jury is as smart as we give them credit for, we have to trust that these things are something that the defense counted on them being able to notice on their own.
Right.
They come back from that to go out drinking, come back to Mr. Albert's house to then murder another police officer who they didn't know, who worked for the same department as them. And then criminal mastermind genius that Brian Albert is, 28 years on the Boston Police Department, he's then going to just leave Mr. O'Keefe's body on his front lawn.
Yes.
Really?
It's better than chopping them up.
What evidence do you have?
Right.
You have statements that the defendant made to Sergeant Canton on January 29th. She was willing to speak, but didn't want to give too much detail. Conversational tone throughout. She indicated she started drinking vodka sodas and then were drinking beers. When asked where she parked her vehicle, she said she parked on Washington Street across from C.F. McCarthy's, facing northbound on the side, same side as Waterfall. Same testimony that you heard from Ms. O'Keefes, observing the defendant going over to her vehicle, getting in the driver's seat, and the victim, Mr. O'Keefe, getting into the passenger's. She said they left the Waterfall, were invited to her residence. She drove her and John to the location in Canton. She dropped Mr. O'Keefe off, did not see him walk into the home. She, being the defendant, stated she made a 3-point turn and then left. When asked about the damage to her vehicle, she indicated to the troopers, "I don't know. It happened last night." June 2022, you have that other recording of that other version that she now has evolved into, as far as stating to Sergeant Mechanic, "Are you aware that John was beaten up by Brian and Colin Albert? We're all in on the same joke, right? John was pulverized and my taillight was cracked."
Yeah.
Never went in the house from the testimony and the data points that you have from Trooper Green,
Yeah.
showing that Mr. O'Keefe was not dressed for the weather when he left.
Okay.
You have that from Brian Albert Jr. You have that from Julie Nagel. You have that from Ryan. You have the testimony of Ryan Nagel, Ricky D'Antonio, and Heather Max. Ms. Max indicated she saw a male passenger, female operator as the vehicle was turned. Remember, they're coming towards Fairview at the same time.
Yeah, but
the defendant, after conducting that reversal 3-point turn on Cedar Crest, is then taking a right on Fairview, while Mr. Nagel, Mr. D'Antonio, and Ms. Maxon are taking the left on Fairview. Mr. Nagel indicates that Mr. D'Antonio then flashes lights. During that
Listen,
time,
the most important part, Lally, he wasn't in the
they follow
car.
the vehicle as they're turning on time. Do they see anyone leave the vehicle and go into the house? The vehicle moves up on different successive occasions, as testified to by Mr. Nagel and several others. And then as they're passing that vehicle, Mr. Nagel indicates that he sees a female operator in the vehicle with the dome light on.
Alone.
Interesting, when I asked Mr. Nagel, as far as when Julie Nagel came out to the vehicle, did he roll down the window or did he open the door? He indicated he opened the door. I asked him, what happened when you opened the door? What happens when you open the door to the vehicle? Dome light comes on. the reason I would submit, or the inference that you can make, is that no one sees Mr. O'Keefe in the vehicle because that's the moment he steps out of the vehicle.
Wait.
So wouldn't you
what?
see his fucking
What?
6'2" ass fucking standing over the fucking car?
How did I miss that?
Yeah, like,
So
are you kidding?
So she saw the interior light on because the door was open.
Because John opened the door and the dome line came up. So, but why wouldn't you see John?
What?
6'2" standing over the SUV?
Oh, I can't. And they call us conspiracy theorists. I can't. I just can't.
yeah.
It's like, oh my, how did I miss that? I was in court. I missed that. Like, look at this guy.
I'm not gonna lie, like I'm telling you, I was too busy like adding fart noises and all kinds of shit just because everybody was just like, you know, this is torture. Like my whole chat was like, this is fucking torture.
I
Shut
know.
the fuck up, dude. You know, so like I just
freaking fart.
I just didn't give a
I
fuck.
know.
I was like, I know
You
this
know.
guy's not gonna do better than
And that's
Jackson.
why I
So
wait.
let me just
Good testimony from Julie Nagel and Sarah Levinson, the peanut butter and jelly sandwich conversation they have with Mr. Cave, which, while they're pulling away from the house where everybody's attention is drawn. Mr. Cave is turned around, facing both of them in the backseat. Ms. Nagel is facing Ms. Levinson on the passenger side, looking out the window towards 34 Fairview Road. Ms. Levinson is looking back at Ms. Nagel, away from that area.
I'm not gonna lie. I was reading Plevin's chat the whole time. Just read. It's a little secret
That's
thing.
so
I
much-
like doing
that's
it.
so much fun.
I do. It is, and it's like he was getting so mad at Lally. He's like, "Why haven't you mentioned the witness intimidation yet, Lally? Why haven't you mentioned the witness intimidation?"
I love it, like because like Plevin thinks that he could just do better than Lally. Like Karen's guilty, and if you just do what I say, don't you watch court TV? I'm on there all the time.
I know.
Like you know, you know, this is what he thinks. It's so funny. Like Plevin is the most delusional motherfucker I've seen yet on this platform talking about this case. He's absolutely delusional. It's
He's not
fascinating.
delusional. He's just a bold-faced liar. Like he's just dishonest. When Plevin was first on the scene, he said really nice things about me. He like made some videos where he's like, "Is Turtle Boy a villain, or is Turtle Boy actually uncovering corruption? It appears as if he's actually doing good." And but like he said nice things about me, and then he didn't like when I called him a both sidesism. He didn't like when I called him a fence sitter, and he got mad at me. And that whenever people get mad at me, that's the moment Karen Reed becomes guilty. That's generally how it works. It's like It's like they get mad at me, and then they're like, "Oh shit!" And actually, now that I think about it, Karen Reed's guilty as fuck.
Right. Yeah,
So
because
weird how
Turtle
that
Boy says she's not.
Right. Yeah. I mean, everybody. I mean, go down the line. All right, we're almost done. I promise.
Ms. Nagel indicates that she sees a 5 to 6 foot dark blob on the lawn near the pole in the hydrant, which is just where Mr. O'Keefe is discovered the next morning. The testimony, recall when you have text messages in regard to Colin Albert when he gets picked up.
Mr. Lally, 5 minutes.
Yes, this is great.
Colin Albert, Miss
And
Al
runs up
Kate,
the
right now,
clock.
Cole Albert, Caitlin Albert, Brian Jr. All indicating that he was picked up around that time, 12:10 a.m. You have the testimony from Chris and Julie Albert, his parents, as far as when he comes home, because it's every night before he goes to bed. You have that testimony in regard to Chris Albert, as far as how John O'Keefe and the defendant come to be at the waterfall in the first place. As far as John
You
O'Keefe,
make this good, buddy.
a slice of pizza. What are you doing later on?
But he doesn't.
You have testimony from Lieutenant O'Hara, Lieutenant Tully, Sergeant Mechanic about those items being recovered. In particular, the items being recovered on January 29th by that search. What did Lieutenant O'Hara say? The items were found close to the curb. The items were at ground level, 3 feet of snow that they had to sift through in order to find those particular things. The detail or the delay in the recovery of evidence. The photos in the video, most of which you have in evidence, is earlier in the storm. This is before the 18 inches of snow falls down, before there's drifts and 3 feet of snow in places. They found evidence where it had been at that same ground level, in the grass, under the snow, at 34 Fairview Road.
That's true. The grand.
Heard all of the medical testimony, which I would submit is consistent, from firefighter Formati to Dr. Rice. Heard testimony regarding the defendant's blood alcohol concentration from Dr. Fowler and Nick Roberts, 93 milligrams per deciliter, 0.07 to 0.08% at 9:08 in the morning. Heard Mr. Roberts' testimony, the forensic testimony that you have. In regard to the medical testimony, you have the sort of pattern abrasions, clear plastic that's recovered by Lieutenant O'Hara's abrasions that the doctors were, the biomechanical people were talking about yesterday. 12 inches and then 6 inches to the tail end. It's easily solved by this. And the dimples on his arm are, I would submit, are consistent with the dimples on the tail light cover piece, are right around this area of the elbow.
Oh my God. Oh
he
my
just
God.
said that out loud.
Dimples on the arm are consistent with the dimples on the tail light. Oh, fuck, Lally. You are so retarded.
You have testimony in regard to
It's amazing that he expects the jury to swallow this
how
shit.
his DNA is on that tail lighthouse. On how his DNA is there to the exclusion as well of Sergeant Mechanic Richard Crock. Mr. O'Keefe's DNA is on the exterior of the broken drinking glass. Mr. O'Keefe's DNA and only Mr. O'Keefe's DNA is on his clothing and his fingernails, consistent with Dr. Sporty Bell's testimony that there is
That's
no
not
altercation
true.
or altercation.
That's not true. Wasn't there two
Actually,
other
that's true.
people?
There were 2 other profiles, yeah,
He just lied.
on his clothing, right?
He just lied.
on his fingernails. There's no one else's DNA on his clothes.
The fuck just
Have
happened?
a
Where did all
testimony from
those
his partner
balloons come
Paul
from?
with regard to the damage that they observed, dents, scratches, 7/8 of an inch hair. You have testimony from Ms. Chart in regard to the mitochondrial DNA profile from that hair
Oh
being
God, we're
consistent
still talking
with
about the hair.
DNA profile
Enough with the hair.
of Mr. O'Keefe. You have the testimony from Ms.
1
Lear
minute
and Ms.
warning
Hanley
is
in regard to the microscopic pieces, 1/16 of an inch by 1/16.
You have 1 minute, Mr.
This
Lally.
is
Wrap
great.
up.
Okay. Okay.
All consistent.
So at this point, if you're Lally, you got 1 minute. You're looking at your papers, right? He's looking at his papers and he's like, yeah, this is going to be a little bit more than a minute. So I need to I got to be fast, right? If you're Lally, you're like, yeah, I got to be fast. I got 60 seconds.
I got to bring it home.
I got to bring it home.
Right
Bring
now.
it
Here we
strong.
go. I'm gonna pull out the fucking big guns right here at the
Let's
last
see what he
second.
does. Let's see
I'm
what he
gonna
does.
gun it.
Pieces of taillights that are found. His clothing.
1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6. That's like fast forward like 3 times. Like he wasted like 12 seconds, like a fifth of his time he had left. He's like, I'll just blow 12 seconds. And then I'll ask Miss Gilman to put something up on the big board. Like, let's watch another fucking video. What video are we going to watch, Lally?
In less than,
yeah. This is what this vehicle looks like back
in 45 seconds.
Like, this is the video he plays.
Right.
There's another years and years ago. Started practicing in Norfolk County. Braintree was now Quincy. Eventually became.
Look at my face there. I'm like, what is this? Look at this motherfucker. Look at my face. I'm like, dude, this motherfucker. Like, you can't be this stupid.
Started practicing in Norfolk County. Braintree was now Quincy.
What's this guy doing? Even this guy's like, what the fuck?
Eventually became president of the United States. His name was John Adams. John Adams once wrote,
this made me mad.
Whatever may be our wishes.
And then he quotes John Adams, who was a defense attorney who got the Boston Massacre soldiers off. Like that, he's a defense attorney, bro.
Like the cornerstone of the of integrity in our history of American law.
Like
that.
Yes, and he's like even the most people that we might not like have a right to a fair trial, and like if they're innocent, they're innocent, and they deserve to go free. And this guy's like, let me quote that guy. Like he might as well have quoted Johnny Cochran.
This guy is John Adams looks at this guy and just puts his head down and turns away, bro.
Yes,
like,
I know.
It's not even like, John Adams wouldn't even have words for him. He would just turn his back.
Exactly.
Our inclinations or the dictates of our passions. They cannot alter the state of facts and the evidence. What the constellation of the facts and the evidence ineluctably demonstrate here is that the defendant drove her vehicle in reverse, 24.2 miles per hour, for 62.5 feet, struck Mr. O'Keefe, causing those catastrophic head injuries, leaving him incapacitated, increasing his death.
Mr. Lally, I have to stop you.
Okay.
You've gone over.
Yeah, like, dude, that's so.
One sentence.
One sentence, I'll give you.
It's so embarrassing.
From that fact and that evidence, I was making eluctably demonstrate. So
I just have one more sentence
for you. I would ask you to find. Thank you.
He definitely had more than one sentence. He had a lot more in that paper he did not get to. He was skipping pages at the end. He's like, fuck, I'll get this out. I'll get this out. I'll get this out. So,
and going over the time, that's such a fucking impactful thing for the jury to see. Like, they're naturally going to go, oh,
yeah,
come on. They're naturally just going to be like, are you done yet? Like, so he walked away, slithered away, basically, with the jury relieved that he was done, and that's no good.
Right.
That's really bad for him.
Right. Well, anyway, I'm just going to read some turtle chats and end the night, but thank you for coming on, brother.
Dude, thank you for having me. It's always fun, man. I appreciate it.
Big day tomorrow. So if you want to read, can't wait for it. Talk to you soon, brother.
Yeah. Bye, guys. Thanks, everybody.
All right. So let me just bang out some turtle chats here. Then we'll call it a night. Kate P sends $10 and says, what's up with Eddie Hernandez? Didn't his wife screw Brian Albert? Probably. Hernandez was on the defense list, and his ex-wife, Brian's side chick, is bashing Karen Reed on the Critical K page. I'm so confused. I'm not entirely sure about that, but Eddie Hernandez, I heard, got in a fight with Brian Albert, got punched. I don't know all the details. Thank you, KP. Danielle Baker sends 10 and says, and tell Will thanks for joining, even though he made me feel bad for making fun of Paul O'Keefe's blue plaid shirts. They're pretty bad. Thank you very much. Cheryl sends 10 and says, notice how Jill was wrong about you, and all her family and friends are the polished dickheads. Not guilty. Thank you very much, Cheryl. Kim sends 10 and says, any news on the charges on Jill Daniels and Jim Ferris? Thank you for all you do. Appreciate that. No, they are being charged. It was in the news. We'll see when that comes. Thank you very much, Kim. I still got to do a write-up about that. Chris sends $7 and goes, I'm a bit nervous the jury didn't come back with a verdict today. I wouldn't say nervous, but it'd be nicer if they did. Charity has $10, says his timeline conveniently leaves out hitting John with her car. I know, seems important. Jackie sends $5 and goes, Karen is 100% innocent and Lally is a fucking loser, but I'm wondering if it's at all possible that the jury can find her guilty of OUI without the manslaughter part of the charge. No, that's not one of the charges. OUI is not one of the charges. So thank you very much, Jackie. Julie from Oz sends $50 and goes, shit, I have been awake so long being from the land from down under. I forgot to say, please take your lovely girlfriend out for a meal. That isn't followed by a McAlbert shit show. I know. No more meals in Canton. No more meals in Canton. As romantic as it is. Thank you. We got Amy sends $5, says, Jen. He is my friend and we are being viciously attacked and harassed by Turtle Boy. You're amazing. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Amy. $100 from Jenna says, thank you for your relentless pursuit of justice for Officer O'Keefe. You were the catalyst for the Free Can't Read movement. Heartbroken that you spent 60 days in jail from your kids. I know that was really hard, not going to lie, because of the continued corruption and just evil, man. Let's not forget the fake victim is fucking evil, bro. To make up some shit like that, evil. Brian Tully's evil. Bro, I got kids and shit. Who does that, You fight for the truth is admirable. Thank you. Free Can't Read, factually innocent. Thank you very much, Jenna. Appreciate that. $5 from Allison, who says, how hard was it to resist saying something of Jen, Brian, and Colin today? Not that hard. I mean, I miss the days where I could have free speech and not go to jail for it, but I've said what I need to say to them. Now, they're just little bitches. They're just little bitches. They killed somebody and now they're afraid that I might talk to them and ask them questions. Oh, pussies. All right, next up. $10 from Dixie Normus. It says, Turtle, get up close and touch John Como. Yes, I did. I did get up close and touch a shirtless John Como, might add. Thank you, Dixie Normus. John Boy sends $10 and goes, can you shout out Turtle Riders from Auburn, Kristen Benoit Smith and Aaron Hubble? Not guilty. Let's fucking go, John Boy. Yeah, John Boy's. I saw John Boy in Southie a couple weeks ago. He's old Worcester guy. So thank you very much, John Boy. Mary sends $100 and says, when and if and how would Lally know anything about any sexual relation with a woman? Full stop. I know. Love you, Turtle Boy and Glare. Thank you for all you're doing for Karen Read and for justice and the goddamn constitution of our country. Well, that's a beautiful thing, Mary. I really, really appreciate the kind words there. And yeah, okay. And then any more cash apps to bang out here? We got here. Tracy sends $5 and says they're hiding in plain sight. Yes, they are, Tracy. Dawn sends 20, says, thank you for keeping this case in the news. My pleasure, Dawn. Christy sends 10 and goes, we need a greatest moments recap. Julie says, Bukaki, I've thought about that too. We need to put it together like a top 25 or 50 moments in the trial, and Bukaki has to be number one. And I was in the courtroom for that. So that was fucking awesome. Thank you, Christy. Audrey sends $5 and says, nice meeting you, Turtle Boy. Love you. I love you too, Audrey. Appreciate that. Great meeting you as well. Mon sends $10 and goes, Peggy is a mean girl. Myth said there. Okay. Thank you, Mon. I appreciate that. All right, cool. I think we're all caught up. So anyway, I am just going to call it a night because it's getting late and I got to wake up early. I got to get to the courthouse. Tomorrow's the day. Not guilty. Not guilty. We're going to hear those words. It's going to be fucking awesome. Not guilty. Not guilty. Not guilty. Karen Read is not guilty on all accounts. And tomorrow we're going to hear it in the courtroom. Not guilty. Get it in your head. Not guilty. Not guilty. Not guilty. I'll see you guys tomorrow at the courthouse. Hopefully I'll meet a whole bunch of you motherfuckers there for a not guilty. Let's go. Not guilty, baby. Peace, Turtle Riders.